92%. Chapter 441. The Shadow of a Lifetime, a straight man possessed by cancer. Chapter 441. The Shadow of a Lifetime, straight man possessed by cancer. You've said this sentence for the second time. Brother Cheng hasn't returned the meal from last time. Lu Mengxin smiled sweetly. I didn't expect Lu Mengxin to remember it. Qin Sheng looked embarrassed. Then, how about giving you 30% of the items sold at the auction? Brother Sheng thought I would care about the money. Lu Mengxin looked strange. Qin Sheng slapped his head. Lu Mengxin is the only heir of the Lu group. How could he be short of these 2 pieces of money? Not to mention the money. Even if all his belongings were in her eyes, it might not be enough for her. I have a dungeon here, but the requirements are a bit high. At least 2 or more people are required to form a team to enter the dungeon. If Brother Cheng agrees to brush the dungeon with me, then I can help you. Lu Mengxin continued. It's just that simple. It's really great that you just need to scan a copy and agree to help. Qin Sheng couldn't wait to agree to Lu Mengxin's request. After the conversation, Lu Mengxin hung up the phone and sent Qin Sheng her coordinates. He took out the tool of the gods, Vimana, and in the next moment, he arrived at Lu Mengxin's position. Where are we going now? Qin Sheng walked up to the preoccupied Lu Mengxin and asked suspiciously. Lu Mengxin didn't speak, but just took out a scroll from her backpack and held it in her hand. With a slight pinch, the scroll shattered into pieces in the air. At the same time, a door appeared in front of Qin Sheng and Lu Mengxin. Let's go. The dungeon we're going to brush up is next. Lu Mengxin replied. Qin Sheng nodded, and then the 2 stepped into the dungeon hand in hand. Snakes, 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 snakes everywhere you look. The ones crawling on the ground, the ones waiting in the trees, and the densely packed snakes swimming in the river. Seeing Lu Mengxin's pale face, Qin Sheng knew that she was afraid of this kind of creature, and it was probably because of these that she was so worried before. You stand behind me. Qin Sheng pushed Lu Mengxin to his back, while he was facing thousands of troops. Sky-swallowing snake. Level 56. Attributes. The venom in its mouth can be turned into an attack, corroding the player's protective gear and protective shield to a certain extent, and their tails are very powerful. HP. 6,200. In Qin Sheng's eyes, information about these sky-swallowing snakes appeared clearly. Although they are not high in level, there are really too many of them. No wonder at least 2 or more are required. If you don't come by yourself BFCE, the general large group skills really don't work. The sun is shining. Qin Sheng raised his hands to the sky. The sky seemed to be torn apart by the Buddha's light, the dark clouds rolled, and the golden light shone brightly, a scene of prosperity. And as each ray of Buddha's light from the sky descends, it will take away a large area of swallowing snakes, and the fierce pythons suddenly turn into ashes. The Buddha's light lasted for more than 10 times, and then subsided with a muffled sound, and everything was clean. Phew. Qin Sheng took a look at the current situation, only to realize that under the sun-shining ability just now, more than half of the sky-swallowing snakes were still alive. Like fearless heroic knights, approaching their standing position one after another. Sunshine. Qin Sheng once again used Sunshine, this ranged attack skill, and after he used Sunshine 4 times in succession, the sky-swallowing snake in front of him died completely. Thank you very much. Lu Mengxin thanked Qin Sheng sincerely as she walked out from behind Qin Sheng until she was side by side with him. When Qin Sheng stood in front of her, fighting fiercely with those sky-swallowing snakes, at that moment, her heart trembled, and a corner of her heart was missing. It's nothing. I can play a role, so I can ask for your help. Qin Sheng shook his head slightly and said bluntly. This. Lu Mengxin's expression froze. She had nothing to say. Damn human beings, you actually came here and killed people of my race. Go to hell. Just as Qin Sheng and Lu Mengxin were talking, a huge snake hovered in the sky, looking at the 2 with an angry tone. People. Sky-swallowing python. Level 58 boss. Attributes. Venom hits the player, can reduce the player's speed by 50%, and at the same time drop the player's health at a rate of 100 per second. Skills. Violent Storm, Poisonous Snake Spit. HP. 85,000. Noisy. Qin Sheng held the god blade and slashed lightly. HMPH. Human, I'll let you feel the gap between us. The heaven-swallowing python had no intention of dodging this blow, and wanted to resist Qin Sheng's random blow with its own body. For a long time, I don't know how many players I have dealt with, but they have never passed here. But Qin Sheng's blow was just a mediocre sword, it's even more disregarded. Ouch. A little snake has learned to act aggressively. Hey, I'm old, I'm old. Qin Sheng chuckled, then increased the strength in his hand, and swung his sword straight at the Tuntian python. Ding! 10,800. A black line of damage was fleeting. The sky-swallowing python was stunned. How did this damned human cause such touching damage to it? It couldn't figure it out. Even if other players used their big moves to deal with themselves, the damage would only be a few hundred. It takes thousands or even tens of thousands of times to defeat yourself. However, the human in front of him has dealt more than 10,000 damage with a single sword, which is unbelievable. It is also wearing armor, but he doesn't know that the God Blade in Qin Sheng's hand can directly ignores all shields. God's Blade, after all, is a treasure that belongs to the Kuchi of forbidden objects. Hiss. The swallowing python reacted, and only now felt the deep pain coming from his body. Damn human, you've offended me, you're going to die. The heaven-swallowing python turned into a raging beast, opened its bloody mouth, and bit Qin Sheng. Ha! Qin Sheng looked disgusted, because when the swallowing python opened its bloody mouth, a lot of liquid splashed out of its mouth. Some people thought it was saliva, but it was actually venom. Opening the protective cover, the venom of the sky-swallowing python was blocked. The God's Blade, open up the world. Qin Sheng held the God's Blade, and slashed at the body of the Tuntian python that was rushing, and the Tuntian python was split into two. 82,000. I hate it. Tuntian python roared unwillingly, and finished the sentence. Then it disappeared into this world, as if it had never been here, nor had it existed. What I have to mention is that this sky-tuning python is a bit cowardly, even more arrogant than Qin Sheng. If it hadn't let Qin Sheng slash at the beginning and hurt him a little, it wouldn't have killed Red Eye and was desperate. 92%. Chapter 442, Uproar. Chapter 442, Uproar. If the heaven-swallowing python came out, it would bombard Qin Sheng indiscriminately. If he used his skills, it might cause him some troubles. Of course, this still can't change its cool fate, at most it just survives a little longer. After finishing the swallowing python, the scene in front of Qin Sheng and Lu Mengxin changed, and they returned to the previous place. You are busy, I will help you. After Lu Mengxin said these words, she left with an ugly face. What's wrong? Qin Sheng looked puzzled. How could he get out of the dungeon? And Lu Mengxin became even more strange. Forget it, I will auction off the useless equipment on me. Gilgamesh, the god of war, the two ceremonies. All the useless equipment on them to Lu Mengxin. Qin Sheng couldn't figure it out. Tian Crispy has not been extinguished. Tonight, he was very worried about Luo Li's situation, and Qin Sheng didn't have the heart to farm wild monsters and upgrade. He glanced at his level. Level 58, 13% progress. So, let's look at the second place on the ranking list. It is also level 58, but the progress is only 8%. It seems that although these people have been promoted by relying on the elixir, they still can't keep up with themselves in the follow-up. That's right, after all, when I was resting, Gilgamesh, military god and others were also helping me level up. What can they compare to me? This distance will only increase. After logging off, Qin Sheng lay on the bed thinking about all the recent events. Who is that Zhongshan Sheji? Who is that man with 3 heads? What is their status in this world? Are they enemies or friends? Who is the person who summoned me? Why did that person throw down the USB flash drive to me? Is there any intention? Seeing that person turn into fragments and disappear before my eyes, did he die or exist in another way? Is he a man or a ghost? An enemy or a friend? And where did my family go? Why are all the previous memories lost? Qin Sheng couldn't figure it out, so he fell asleep amid intermittent thoughts. In the dream, he was running in a dark time, and there was light ahead, which was close at hand and within easy reach, but it seemed like a world away, and he couldn't reach it no matter what. Finally, when he was about to grasp the ray of light, a ray of sunlight shot into his eyes. Qin Sheng narrowed his eyes slightly. It was dawn. Master Sheng, Luo Li still didn't come back last night, could it be? Lu Li didn't dare to continue. Impossible, the enemies I offended in the dream world, they simply don't have the strength to deal with Luo Li. Even though he said that, Qin Sheng was also faintly worried about Luo Li. Although Luo Li will not be hurt by others, but 2 days have passed, according to Luo Li's personality, it is time for her petty temper to pass, and it is time to come back, but this time the situation seems to be different. I'm going to use my financial resources to find any clues about Luo Li. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he put on his coat and stood up from the bed. He made a phone call to President Long, and President Long connected quickly. President Long, it's like this. I have a friend who is missing. I hope to find my friend through your circle. Qin Sheng said in a blunt tone. Sounds like a death sentence. Small things. Brother Yi's friend is my friend, so I will naturally use my best human relationship to find her as soon as possible. President Long said flatteringly, but in his heart he scolded Qin to pieces. That's great. I'll send you a photo of my friend later. You must use all means to find her. After finishing speaking, Qin Sheng hung up the phone and chose a frontal photo of Luo Li from the phone's photo album to send. Gave it to President Long. I'm Sao. President Long's eyes widened when he saw Luo Li's photo. Growing up so big, it was the first time he saw such a beauty, and he was hooked by his soul immediately. I changed my mind. Since this Qin Sheng is so powerful, I can't do anything to him. Then I will start with the woman next to him, so that I can just use it to threaten him, and I can also get this beauty. President Long looked at Luo Li's photo, and said lewdly. He had a good idea. If he really wanted to see Luo Li at that time, knowing Luo Li's strength and danger, he would probably kneel down and call her parents, so he wouldn't want to possess her. In this way, when you find this woman, give it to me as soon as possible. Remember, you must be fast. If you don't do it well, you can just be laid off and leave. President Long waved his hand and said to the dozen or so straight people in front of him. Asking for flowers. Yes, more than a dozen people said in unison. As soon as the screen changed, after Qin Sheng dialed President Long, he still felt unreliable, so he hung up another message on the internet. If anyone has news about this woman, tell me immediately, there will be 1,000,000 red envelopes. If anyone knows where this woman is, there will be thousands of red envelopes. In order to prevent these people from not trusting him, Qin Sheng generously distributed 1,000,000 red envelopes below. One is to show his generosity and express that he doesn't care about the money, and the other is to let the world know the urgency of the matter. Qin Sheng's behavior caused an uproar on the internet. 1,000,000 cash for just one message. Fake. It's not fake, and a red envelope was sent out below, a total of 1,000,000. 10,000 people grabbed it all in an instant, and I was lucky enough to snatch more than 1,000. I am very happy. This is the real local tyrant, and it doesn't look like they are short of money to live, so it should be real. But the sea of people is vast, how can we find this woman? Nonsense. If it's easy to find, as for posting messages on the internet, pay so much. Hey, let's find it according to the fate. It is worth mentioning that the woman in this photo is really beautiful. If she is willing to be my wife, I am willing to reduce my lifespan by 10 years. I am willing to reduce 50 years of my life just to be with her. Come on, will she see you? Qin Sheng didn't know that this move caused an uproar on the internet, because after he edited this message and sent it out, he immediately fantasy played online games. He clicked on the friend column, and found that Luo Li hadn't logged into the game for 2 days, and he didn't know what he was doing. As the great god here. As soon as Qin Sheng went online, someone sent him a text message. It's Grumpy Lion Head, that is, an iron lion. I don't know what to do with me. Well, online, what's the matter? Qin Sheng edited a message and replied. 92%. Chapter 443 Mutation. Chapter 443 Mutation. Master, I want to make a friend with you, can I? Grumpy Lion Head said very clearly. Okay. Qin Sheng was speechless. Hey. The arrogance of being a great god. Then do you have time to get to know the great god, in real life? Because I have a lot of questions that I want to ask the great god, can you? Grumpy Lion Head replied immediately. Okay. If it was an ordinary person, Qin Sheng wouldn't respond. He felt like a little fanboy, and he just didn't like that kind of fanboy character following behind him. The reason why he agreed to Grumpy Lion Head's request was because Grumpy Lion Head's 100,000 lucky value made him very puzzled. He didn't do anything that shocked the entire server. Where did he get so much luck? Qin Sheng couldn't figure it out. 490 told the truth, and it was a lie to say that he was not interested. However, I don't have time these 2 days. I'll contact you after the matter at hand is resolved. Qin Sheng edited another message and sent it. Indeed, Luo Li's matter is here. How can he have the mood to deal with other matters? Okay, Grumpy Lion Head replied, and temporarily cut off contact. Suddenly Qin Sheng's head seemed to be devoured by thousands of insects, and a heart-piercing pain dominated his body. Like a beast, he let out a roar that did not belong to humans. Finally, he couldn't stand the pain and fell into a coma. Is Master Sheng all right? Shan Gui asked worriedly. It's okay. Don't worry, when I came here just now, he hugged his head and screamed in pain. As soon as I ran over, he fell into a coma. The giant spirit god said everything he saw. It's the first time Mr. Sheng has such a thing. What kind of stimulation did you receive? Giant spirit god, do you know? Luli frowned, as if guessing the reason why Qin Sheng became like this. I don't know about this. Mr. Cheng is unconscious, so I hugged him and lay him on the bed, and he will be the same as you saw after that. Giant spirit god shook his head, indicating that he only knew this. Luli frowned, didn't speak anymore, and looked thoughtful. This is me. What's the matter? Qin Sheng Yu woke up from a coma and found Luli, Shengui, and giant spirit god sitting beside her bed. Look at yourself. Master Cheng, you passed out in front of the instrument. The giant spirit god said bluntly. I fainted in front of the instrument. Hiss. Qin Sheng covered his still aching head. Shangui and Luli hurried forward and dragged Qin Sheng to calm him down. Lying in bed. Master Sheng, what you need now is rest. Luli and the others quickly persuaded. Qin Sheng didn't struggle, but nodded calmly. But in my heart, I was recalling why I fell down suddenly. Could it be that too many things happened these days, so I fell down before I could recover for a while? My body is not so fragile, right? Could it be that he fell down because he was bothered by Luo Li's affairs? It shouldn't be. But apart from that, Qin Sheng couldn't figure out what happened recently to make him become like this. If he couldn't figure it out, Qin Sheng simply didn't want to. Today, the giant spirit god, Shangui, and Luli took turns to take care of themselves, and Qin Sheng didn't continue to play the fantasy online game. When he was thirsty at night, Qin Sheng reached out and hooked the corner of the bed, but he didn't touch the teacup, so he had to get out of bed to find the teacup. When the teacup was held in Qin Sheng's hand, the teacup shattered violently, and the glass shard stuck into his hand, gushing out blood. What's going on here? The strange scene in front of him instantly made Qin Sheng completely sleepless. Why do you hold a cup casually and it shatter? I didn't use any force. Qin Sheng put his hand casually on the side table, and the corner of that table was snapped off by himself. Oh my god. The key is that I don't feel the use of strength. Could it be that I can't control my strength? What should I do? Just when Qin Sheng was at a loss, a number suddenly flashed out of nowhere in his mind, and his strength was 5 times stronger than that of ordinary people. Question mark, question mark, question mark. The strength that I can bend steel, plus 5 times the strength, is indeed beyond my control. But where did this 5 times the strength come from? Qin Sheng suddenly remembered that he registered a trumpet called Why Are You Called Your Father? 2 days ago, and his initial talent was 5 times the strength. Could it be that it has been grafted into reality? Thinking about it, Qin Sheng used his skills in the game, such as Meteor Fist and 7 combo strikes, used them, but the power only inherited the power in the game. Damn, so powerful. After using the skills in the game, Qin Sheng stood there for a long time, startled. The things learned in the game can be used in reality. This is so incredible. Before this, Qin Sheng would never believe it, but now, this kind of thing happened in front of his eyes, and he believed it even if he didn't believe it. Qin Sheng hurriedly logged on to the trumpet, only to find that it was still the same as before, unable to even upgrade a level, a group of bloody people. It seems that the abnormalities that happened to me today are the influence of the trumpet on me. Qin Sheng understood in his heart, but the question came up, why did that person give himself this USB flash drive? Just to let myself enjoy the privileges in this game. That would be great. Besides, who is he who can get this kind of combination of reality and online games? What's worse is that after the game reaches level 10, you can no longer get anything in experience points. What Qin Sheng has is the extremely miserable 5.3 obtained in this novice village. Forget it. Qin Sheng let out a long sigh. It's yours. It's always yours. It won't be yours. You can't get it even if you ask for it. Everything depends on fate. However, after such a toss, he lost all drowsiness, made a cup of coffee. Okay. The cup broke again. Qin Sheng tossed and tossed for more than an hour, and then he was barely familiar with his suddenly enhanced strength. Putting on the instrument, Qin Sheng entered the game. Fantasy has an automatic save function, so when Qin Sheng came in, it was still a place he was familiar with before, and this function is indeed very user-friendly. Luo Li is actually online. Qin Sheng unintentionally glanced at the friend column and found Luo Li online, exclaimed immediately. Originally, he didn't expect extravagance, but he didn't expect to be bumped into by himself. It was a surprise. 92%. 440th chapter's Big Shot. Chapter 444, Extravagant. Seeing Qin Sheng on Luli online, he immediately made a video call to her, but she hung up decisively. This little girl, isn't she still angry that day? Qin Sheng muttered, and made another video call to Luli. But still, like the first time, Luli hung up the phone immediately. Even if Luli is angry, she shouldn't hang up the phone. What happened? Qin Sheng frowned, and his sensitive intuition told him that something must have happened to Luli. Ding. The players all the sons below me use the loudspeaker to inform you that anyone who sees Xiao ganging up with Luoli can get a legendary weapon as long as they provide clues to him. Take yourself there. Yes, you can get a king's soldier weapon. However, if I find someone who dares to make a joke, play tricks, and wants to get the treasure on my body, I will kill him all over the house, desperate, until level 0. Helpless, Qin Sheng had no choice but to spend money, hoping to find Luo Li's clues in the vast online game world, and finally found her by following the clues. And Qin Sheng's announcement naturally caused an uproar on the bulletin board, and countless players were moved by it. The ones below me are all my own sons. The price is too generous. The legendary weapon auctioned in Dancheng reached hundreds of thousands of yuan, and the king's soldier even reached several million yuan. That is, you don't even think about what level he is. For this thing, hard courts don't matter. Tisk tisk tisk. However, the relationship between all the sons below me and this Luo Li is a bit intriguing. They are obviously members of the same class, and he is the leader of the Xiao Guild. He doesn't know the guild. Where is the person? What do you care about? I'd better go looking for an encounter. Maybe I'm lucky enough to meet that person and reach the pinnacle of my life from then on. That's right. Even if you don't need it, you can sell it for at least 1.8 million. That's my salary for several years. I see you guys. Don't dream. There are so many players, and you just happened to meet her. Qin Sheng had nothing to do, so he found a nearby tea house to sit and wait for the good news. Ding. The player Longxiang 9 Heavens added you as a friend. May I ask if the player accepts? In less than 10 minutes, Qin Sheng received friend requests from other people. Although I am number 1 on the list, many people admire me, and many people regard myself as the goal of progress and apply to add friends. But usually, I ignore these people. Today is different. After all, it is a sensitive time. So the moment Qin Sheng received the friend request, Qin Sheng agreed. Hello, I saw the person you mentioned for a while, and she often visits the store near us. I haven't been there in the past few days, and I don't know if she is there. Do you want me to find you now? Just after agreeing to the friend application for a while, Longshang Jutian edited such a message and sent it over. At the same time, he secretly rejoiced in his heart. He didn't expect that it was just Jingyan and Luo Li's beauty, which made him unforgettable in his photographic memory, and now he can get the treasure. It's so cool. No, that's too troublesome. Just tell me your location, and I'll rush over there now, which will save a lot of time. When Longxiang 9 Heavens felt his side, go to Luoli's usual place. The place, I'm afraid the day lily is already cold. Who knows how long Luoli will stay in the game world when she goes online this time. Immediately, Longxiang 9 Heavens sent Qin Sheng his position, and Qin Sheng waved the god tool Vamana, and in the next moment he came to the position sent by Long Soaring 9 Heavens. Longxiang 9 Heavens, I just felt a blur in front of my eyes. A mighty man descended from the sky, splashing 10,000 feet of gravel and dust. This, Longxiang 9 Heavens, was at a loss for words for a while. How fast did it take to get here in a few seconds? He couldn't figure it out, and he didn't want to imagine himself and hurt his self-esteem. The great god is worthy of being a great god. He is simply too hung up. Longxiang Jutian said this in his heart, and suddenly his mind changed. Hee. Since the man in front of me is so hung up, I don't mind helping myself. Anyway, it's just a few tricks to solve things. Therefore, Longxiang 9 Heavens slashed forward casually, instantly attracting the hatred of an elite monster. I'm being entangled by the ugly evil Peng, and it's a level 58 elite monster. I'm no match for it. Please help me, God. Longxiang Jutian looked back anxiously at Qin Sheng said, an attitude of being unable to hold on in the next second makes people feel pity. Qin Sheng naturally knew Longxiang Jutian's little trick. Although he was upset, he didn't say much, because he didn't have time to delay with him at this time, so he took out the blade of God, and slashed at ugly evil Peng casually. 28,000. A fleeting black injury flashed, and what remained was Long Zhang's astonished expression. Indeed, they knew that Qin Sheng was number one on the list, and they thought that was it. How good could it be? They never knew his true strength, and now they saw it with their own eyes, so they knew the gap between them. This, great God, this is different from the plot development I want. 313 Longxiang 9 Heaven's eyes widened, and seemed to be shocked by the damage of Qin Sheng's casual blow. After a long time, he rolled his Adam's apple and said in a difficult voice, I have reached 99% of the progress of level 57, and if I touch an elite monster, I can definitely rise to level 58. The original plan was to let Qin Sheng spend the blood bar of the ugly evil Peng, and he would be able to rise to level 58 by making up his own sword. I didn't expect Qin Sheng to be so bad. Of course, Longxiang 9 Heavens was even more surprised by Qin Sheng's strength, and casually hit a level 58 elite monster. This is too unbelievable. What? Is there anything else you want to say? Qin Sheng asked knowingly. No, I'll take you there. Longxiang Judian, although his heart is full of bitterness, but in the online game world where the strong are respected, Qin Sheng's strength is enough to make him shut up. That's good, Qin Sheng said lightly. Longxiang 9 Heavens walking ahead to lead the way for Qin Sheng. Apart from fear, I was extremely excited. My God, I am actually with this kind of great God. I am afraid that there are not many players in the world who enjoy such treatment. The content that I can't even dream of is happening in front of my eyes. Even if I am, there is no regret in dying. 93%. Chapter 445 Don't struggle anymore. Chapter 445 Don't struggle anymore. Longxiang 9 Heavens walked in front and took a few photos sneakily. I don't know if he kept it as a souvenir or took it out. Qin Sheng naturally discovered these movements of Longxiang 9 Heavens, and he didn't say much. Anyway, as long as Longxiang 9 Heavens didn't delay the process, he wouldn't interfere too much. Qin Sheng and the others were on the way. When they heard the sound of fighting not far away, they couldn't help standing and watching. Although this kind of thing happened not uncommonly in the online game world, but the content of a few people's disputes turned out to be Luo Li. Flower's clothes, don't struggle anymore. Tell us the whereabouts of Luo Li quickly, only in this way can we spare you. If not, you will be killed by us and have nowhere to go. A man with a huge silver ring on his shoulders and a deep hole in his face looked at the beautiful girl in front of him with a ferocious face. If you have the ability, you come to me one by one. How can a group of people beat me up? Fortunately, you are still a group of old men. Flower's neon clothes looked at the few people surrounding him, and said angrily. One-on-one. Are we that stupid? Ha ha ha. Girl, this is the game world. Don't do those fancy things. As for whether we are men, you can try it, whether it is in the real world or the game world. After all, I'm a real man. The man with the silver giant ring and sword licked his tongue, looked at Flower's clothes with a lewd look and said. You guys. Flower's clothes got angry for a while. It seems that it's useless to talk, so let's do it. After finishing speaking, the neon clothes began to spread behind her, like a long vine, which could be controlled at will. Hey, it seems that if you don't get hurt, you won't be able to pry your mouth open. Since you insist on finding this crime, you can't blame us. Brothers, copy the guy's injury for me. The man with the silver giant ring greeting the brothers around me. I will launch a stormy offensive against Flower's clothes. Suddenly, a figure like a son of God stood beside Flower's clothes, held up the protective cover with the blade of God, and resisted all these attacks. Boy, who are you? This is a matter between us and Flower's clothes. I advise you not to intervene. Our hungry wolf gang is fully capable of making you unable to eat. Pipe pipe. Seeing Qin Sheng blocking these attacks, the man with the silver giant ring reflexively thought that he had the same purpose as them. Oh, really? But I really haven't heard of this hungry wolf gang. Has it entered the top 100 list? Qin Sheng looked at the few little scumbags in front of him with a look of disapproval. The man in the silver giant ring was speechless for a moment. Although their hungry wolf gang is famous in this area, they are still far from the top list. Flower's clothes, I just heard that you know Luo Li. Do you know where she is now? Qin Sheng simply ignored these clowns and turned to Flower's clothes and asked. Flower's clothes did not reply to Qin Sheng, but just looked him up and down, not knowing what he was thinking about. Ma Dan, even if our hungry wolf gang doesn't make it to the top of the list, it's not something you can deal with. Brothers, give it to me. The man with the silver giant ring looked at Qin Sheng and ignored him. Words. Boss, look at this person's ID. It's the one who released the news, and it's the number one on the list. All the people below me are my own sons. A younger brother suddenly came over at this time and leaned against the silver giant ring. In the man's ear, whispered, "Why didn't you see it until now?" After hearing what the younger brother said, the man with the silver giant ring quickly looked at Qin Sheng's ID, and found that it was exactly what he said, and he was so scared that he was scared out of his wits. This is number one on the list, and what I said must have offended him completely. Not to mention finding Luo Li and asking for a weapon of the king's soldier, they are lucky to be able to survive now. It's not his fault. After all, the Hungry Wolf gang is very famous in this area, so it's no wonder they are so arrogant and domineering, and they didn't expect to meet Qin Sheng today, otherwise he wouldn't dare to put his nose on the face if he had 10 guts. The little brother was speechless. If I hadn't reminded you, you would have made a fuss about being the number one on the list, looking for a dead end, and blamed me for being slow in discovering it, so don't mention how wronged you are. If I knew it earlier, I might as well not say it, and let them suffer. Fortunately, the relationship has not reached the point where it cannot be relieved, at least, they have not done anything to each other. Thinking of this, the man with the silver giant ring heaved a sigh of relief. He put on a smile all over his face, and said cordially like an old friend he hadn't seen for a long time, "So it's the number one on the list, all the sons below me, hey. There was some misunderstanding just now, I'm really sorry." Quote. Misunderstanding. Qin Sheng sneered and didn't say much, just a few words, "I won't attack you for no reason, but you don't need to intervene in the matter between this and Flower's clothes. All the people below me are my own sons. Didn't they hang out on the internet to find someone for Luo Li? What is his relationship with Luo Li?" Flower's neon clothes heart moved, secretly thinking about Luo Li and Qin Sheng relationship. This is natural. The man with the silver giant ring heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Qin Sheng is not a person who holds grudges. The number one on the list is really amazing. Just this aura makes it difficult for me to stand up straight. It's really too hanging. The man with the silver giant ring looked at Qin Sheng and said with a flattering face. Yes, yes, yes. The boss is as strong as ever before or since. This is called Junshuo, ancient and modern, unparalleled in the world. What you say is so fancy, it's not as straightforward as my awesomeness. Boss, take me to fly. The members of the Hungry Wolf gang, Li Laohao, also quickly echoed, expressing Taikong's joy. Get out. Their hypocrisy only got a cold word from Qin Sheng. Damn, I'm still in a hurry. What are these bird people trying to do? They're still wasting my time. Qin Sheng was speechless. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get out of here. The complexion of the man with the silver giant ring suddenly turned ugly, but due to Qin Sheng's strength, he dared not speak out in anger, and they ran away in a hurry. You're the one who posted the news on the internet that as long as you find Luo Li's people, you promise to give them a certain reward. After the members of the Hungry Wolf gang completely left, Flowers Nisheng asked Qin Sheng. Yeah, Qin Sheng nodded slightly, as a response to Flower's clothes. But, since Luo Li is a member of your guild, why don't you know where she went? Flower's clothes continued to ask. 93%. Chapter 446 Is that Luo Li? Chapter 446 Is that Luo Li? Please, why are you asking left and right like my mother? I'm in a hurry right now. Qin Sheng smiled bitterly, but still replied. Luo Li has been having an affair with me recently, and I don't know now where is she, so I want to find her and make her a mistake. First, I'm Luo Li's friend. The news you spread has troubled Luo Li and me to a certain extent, so I have the right not to tell you any news about her. Secondly, what evidence do you have that Luo Li and you are having an affair? Maybe you are just a gang leader and a teammate, how do I know? Flower of colorful clothes looked suspiciously at Qin Sheng nonstop. You'll know it when you see this. Qin Sheng showed the projection of the photo he and Luo Li once took. In the photo, Luo Li still had an incomparably bright smile on his face, so sincere. Okay, I believe it, but Luo Li's current situation is very strange. I met her just now and greeted her, but she didn't respond to me. This is too abnormal, as indifferent as someone I don't know. Usually she doesn't, so, what happened? Waji Shigashang asked. 007 can't explain this matter clearly in 1 or 2 sentences. You can take me there first to have a look. I'll be in trouble when she goes offline later. Qin Sheng opened the friend bar while talking, and found she was still online, so she let out a long sigh of relief. Okay, Flower's clothes nodded heavily, and was about to bring Qin Sheng over. Boss, what about me? Longxiang Judian jumped out at this time, rubbed his palms, and said dryly. Although he didn't have any effect, he was still very unwilling and wanted to get some benefits from Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng almost forgot Longxiang Nine Heavens at the side, and didn't notice it until he spoke at this moment. He casually threw a legendary weapon to Longxiang Nine Heavens, then turned and left, while Longxiang Nine Heavens was holding the legendary weapon, standing there smiling cheerfully. I remember that not long ago, Luo Li was still standing here. Seeing her appearance, she won't leave for the time being. How can she just leave? Flower's neon clothes pointed to an empty corner, said with a puzzled look. No, she hasn't left yet. She's entered, and now it's the task of brushing the dungeon inside. Qin Sheng activated Omniscient and Almighty Star, and everything under his perception has nowhere to hide, and he naturally noticed the transmission coming from the space. Slightly rippling, 9 out of 10 it is here to enter the dungeon. How did you know that? Flower's clothes looked at Qin Sheng suspiciously. She didn't understand the person in front of her. How did she know that Luo Li had entered the dungeon? It's about my secret. I can't tell you unless you can become mine. Qin Sheng smiled mysteriously and didn't say much. To be your person. To be your big-headed ghost. I didn't expect that the top player on the list is also such a frivolous person. Also, after all, he is a man, so it is reasonable. Flower's neon clothes looked at Qin with disdain. Give me a quick look. Qin Sheng was puzzled. He just expressed that she became a member of the Xiao Guild to know her secret. I didn't expect that I was labeled as a frivolous person. That's right. Who told me that what I said was really not clear enough? Who can blame it? However, with the strength of Flower's clothes, who has just reached the 58th level, it is impossible for him to casually pull her into the Xiao Guild. What he said before, he was just joking. Not long after, the space suddenly distorted, and a beautiful figure walked out from it. This person was Luo Li, whom Qin Sheng had been looking for these days. The moment she walked out, Qin Sheng's pupils shrank slightly, and this little girl's strength was faintly stronger than her own. This is too unbelievable. After all, Luo Li hasn't been online for 2 days, so logically speaking, she would be dismissed a little bit, but the reality of Shen Biefta is completely opposite. Could it be the dungeon she just created that made her strength so much higher? Qin Sheng secretly guessed in his heart, but he didn't ask her regardless of the occasion. Luo Li, you made me search so hard, I'll take you home. Qin Sheng looked at Luo Li and said sincerely. Who are you? Luo Li looked at Qin Sheng in front of her, and said this out of nowhere. Qin Sheng was stunned. Why? I haven't seen Luo Li for a few days and forgot about him. How is this possible? Could it be that what happened? What happened to make Luo Li become like this? I think there's something wrong with you. Luo Li, let's go. This person is probably thinking about your beauty. Flower's clothes, seeing that Luo Li didn't know Qin Sheng, she thought it was because he was cheating on her. Thinking of Qin Sheng's previous conspiracy against him, he hurriedly took a few steps back, left Qin Sheng's side, embraced Luo Li's arm, and looked at Qin Sheng vigilantly. Who are you? Luo Li pushed away Flower's clothes and said coldly. Flower of Nisheng's face was stiff, and he said puzzledly, I am Nisheng. What happened to you today? I didn't reply when I asked you before. Why don't you just sort out the relationship now? I'm sorry, I really don't know you guys. Please don't pester me. I'm still going to get a copy. Luo Li ignored the ugly faces of the two and said to herself. Luo Li, have you really forgotten me? I'm Qin Sheng. You're still angry about what happened a few days ago, so you're thinking about these things to blame me. Qin Sheng said hopefully asked. Oh, you are Qin Sheng. Hearing Qin Sheng announce his name, Luo Li's eyes flashed a clear cold light, and his scrutiny eyes kept looking at Qin Sheng. It was like looking at a prisoner, making Qin Sheng feel uncomfortable. What, Luo Li, do you think of me? Qin Sheng trembled, thinking that Luo Li had thought of him. No, I still don't know you, but she has been taken care of by you. Luo Li sneered. She? Who is she? Qin Sheng frowned, puzzled. Who the hell are you? Why did you take Luo Li's name as your own? In my memory, Luo Li was lively and energetic, but this person in front of me was quite calm and cold, with completely opposite personalities. The person wearing Luo Li's clothes. Why should I answer you? Luo Li asked back, making Qin Sheng speechless for a moment. Yeah, what idiot would say his name and put himself in danger? But Qin Sheng also had a clue in his heart. It seemed that the Luo Li in front of him was not Luo Li herself. 93%. Chapter 447 Draw a line. Chapter 447 Draw a line. What is your intention on boarding Luo Li's ship? What is your purpose? Qin Sheng pressed each other step by step. Ah, isn't the answer obvious? Help her level up. By the way, I want to talk about you. You should have self-knowledge and don't get close to Luo Li, or the result will be something you can't afford. Luo Li, with a sneer, he opened his mouth slowly. Qin Sheng was taken aback for a moment. It seemed that the man in Luo Li's jacket knew Luo Li. But what kind of relationship she has with Luo Li, Qin Sheng doesn't know. As for what he said, as long as he continued to be with Luo Li, there would be consequences he couldn't afford. He was even more confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Qin Sheng smiled lightly and said truthfully. That's all. I was disturbed by you and others today, and I'm not in the mood to stay any longer, so I'll go offline now. But I still want to tell you, don't get close to Luo Li. Now that we're on the brink, we can still make room. If you don't know how to live or die, hee. The person wearing Luo Li's jacket is about to go offline, but Qin Sheng has worked so hard to find Luo Li, so how can he go offline just like he wanted? Stop. Qin Sheng took out the blade of God and cast opening the world, trying to make Luo Li angry and stay. The invisible breath of the sword swept across the grass and trees. Before approaching Luo Li, it had already accumulated earth-shattering power. When it reached a saturated level, Qin Sheng suddenly directed the power in his hand towards Luo Li. Throw it away. Small tricks. Luo Li snorted coldly, then raised the slender sword in her hand slightly, and waited until the sword energy of opening heaven and earth approached her side. She raised her hand and slashed fiercely with the sword. Buzzing, buzzing. The place where the sword's breath touched Luo Li's saber made a buzzing sound, and a terrifying power destroyed the nearby flowers, plants and trees, but did not bring any harm to Luo Li. How is that possible? Qin Sheng looked at the direction Luo Li was standing in. Unacceptable. Even if he didn't use a big fight, but he wouldn't be able to hit it with a sword, and it didn't hurt at all. Could it be that Luo Li has changed so powerful? Small tricks. After Luo Li finished speaking, she went offline. My God. Flower's clothes was still standing aside, still in shock. Which level of fighting was beyond her reach? I believe you. It seems that this so-called Luo Li is really strange. I don't even know her. I'm afraid it's just like what you said. She is someone else's account for logging into Luo Li. Hey, I've already brought you to meet people. As for the development of things like this, it's not what I want to see, so let's just say goodbye. After finishing speaking, he turned around and was about to leave the place. Wait. Qin Sheng stopped him. Flower's clothes stopped, looked back at Qin Sheng, and asked suspiciously, is there anything else? Although you are Luo Li's friend, you were the one who brought me here to meet her after all, so I will give you a king's soldier as a matter of course. Qin Sheng said, took out a king's soldier from his backpack, and handed it to Neon Clothes of Flowers. This Neon Clothes of Flowers held the king's soldier, and his heart was full of joy. She didn't want to disturb Luo Li, that's why she didn't tell Qin Sheng about Luo Li's whereabouts before. Knowing that Qin Sheng and Luo Li knew each other, she exposed Luo Li's whereabouts. Originally, she didn't expect to get the king's soldier, but unexpectedly, she got a king's soldier, which made her extremely excited. You know, the most precious thing in her body now is the legendary weapon. The king's weapon that Qin Sheng gave her is her only king's weapon now. Great kindness without words of thanks. After a long time, Flower's clothes came over from the surprise and let out a long sigh of relief, just like Qin Sheng saying goodbye. Qin Sheng looked at this scene, a little speechless. You provided Luo Li clues, and I gave you the king's soldier, so there is no need to thank myself, although this Luo Li is not by Luo Li. Hey, I don't know what this little girl has experienced in the past 2 days. The account has been stolen by others. What makes me even more confused is that what Luo Li said implied a warning. Did I do something wrong? Seeing the place where Luo Li was offline, Qin Sheng shook his head helplessly and sighed, and turned around to leave this place. But seeing a blur in front of him, where Luo Li disappeared, Luo Li reappeared. What? The fake Luo Li is online again. Although Qin Sheng was puzzled, he still said, hurry up and get out of Luo Li's account. I'm Luo Li. Luo Li looked at Qin Sheng and said calmly. Luo Li. Qin Sheng's omniscient and almighty star looked at Luo Li carefully, only to realize that the Luo Li in front of him was the real Luo Li, but Luo Li was actually able to board his own account. How did someone get on board before that? Where have you been these days? There was someone who logged into your account before, and that person seems to know you. What's your relationship? Qin Sheng looked at Luo Li, expressing all the doubts in his heart. You don't need to know these things. Now that I'm online again, I just want to clear my relationship with you. Luo Li looked at Qin Sheng indifferently, and said in a clear voice. Draw a clear line. Qin Sheng was full of doubts. Is this little girl joking? He comforted himself in his heart. That's right. I've been tired of being with you for a long time, but now that I've found a new home, I'm going to draw a clear line with you. Luo Li remained expressionless, as if saying that the documents were not with her. Related things are the same. Are you kidding me? Luo Li, as I said, what I said a few days ago was indeed serious. Here, I apologize to you, so don't be petty, and hurry up with me, go back. Qin Sheng looked at Luo Li and said in a commanding tone. I also said that it's not because of that incident, but that I'm already tired of you guys, do you know? Luo Li continued in a cold voice, from then on, I have nothing to do with the Xiao gang, and I am no different from you. If you are a stranger, don't bother me anymore, and don't inquire about any news about me. Understood. After Luo Li finished speaking, she went offline directly, but some plain tears fell from the air. Qin Sheng looked at the place where Luo Li went off the assembly line, and did not take any action for a long time. Yes. Those who want to leave, no matter how hard they try, they will not be able to confuse her. However, Qin Sheng firmly believed that Luo Li must have had a hard time, so he would not give up looking for the truth. Luo Li hadn't heard from her for the past 2 days, and the reason why she changed her appearance when they met again, what happened? 93%. Chapter 448 Secret Investigation. Chapter 448 Secret Investigation. Although Luo Li drew a clear line between the two, Qin Sheng believed that she did it out of necessity, and knew that Luo Li must have experienced something these days, which made her become like this. Luo Li, just wait, I will definitely save you from the dire straits. Qin Sheng said firmly, then turned and left the place. Qin Sheng left here to hunt wild monsters, and he didn't go offline until 42% of the 58th level. As usual, he boarded his trumpet again, trying to make new discoveries. But all of this is just his extravagance. The trumpet still can't get any experience points, and he still doesn't get any gain after entering. If this trumpet reaches the full level, will I be like the Super Saiyan Monkey King, smashing a 980 Earth with one punch? Qin Sheng fantasizes in his heart, but the key is that this trumpet can't upgrade anymore. Why can't this trumpet be upgraded? What is the opportunity to continue to upgrade? Qin Sheng has no idea. But now he can only wait. Everything is up to God. Buzz. In the middle of the night, Qin Sheng was tossing and turning in bed, when there was an abrupt text message. Qin Sheng, do you have time tomorrow? I would like to meet you, a boss, and ask for your advice. It turned out to be a text message sent to him by Iron Lion. I have time, Qin Sheng replied casually. Immediately afterwards, Iron Lion posted the place to meet tomorrow. Qin Sheng glanced at it, but did not reply, and fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, Qin Sheng gave a big stretch. Phew, unprecedented comfort. Is it the influence of the trumpet's physical strength? Qin Sheng clenched his fists, feeling a steady stream of power pouring into his body, inexhaustible and inexhaustible. Qin Sheng put on his clothes, opened the door and walked out of his room, while Luli and the others sat on the sofa with anxious faces. Now there is no news from Luo Li, and Mr. Sheng is also in a strange state. What should we do? Shan Gui frowned and asked. Master Sheng, we take turns to take care of him. At the same time, we also need to use our power to investigate Luo Li's whereabouts in the open and in the dark. Lu Li thought about it for a while, and then calmly replied. Lu Li is right. The giant god nodded. Everyone, Luo Li has found a new home. From now on, she has nothing to do with us, and we should bless her. Qin Sheng walked in front of several people and said with a light smile. What? Luo Li has found a new home. Master Cheng, I don't believe it. After hearing what Qin Sheng said, Lu Li shook her head firmly. Luo Li liked being with them so much, her sincere smile would not if there are fake ones. It is impossible for Luo Li to find a home casually and rely on them. Lu Li, what's the matter? Don't you believe me? Qin Sheng looked at Lu Li and said calmly. Although he also thought that Luo Li had difficulties, he didn't want Lu Li and the others to investigate with him, but to investigate by himself. Let Lu Li and the others think that Luo Li has found a new home for now, so that they can feel at ease. Since Mr. Sheng said so, I naturally believe it. Lu Li nodded slightly. The mountain ghost and the giant spirit god also nodded. So far, the matter of Luo Li has passed for the time being. By the way, Master Sheng, are you all right? Shan Gui asked with a smile, seeing Qin Sheng's refreshed appearance. Of course it's fine. Not only is there nothing wrong with it, I feel that my strength has increased several times compared to before. Qin Sheng replied with a light smile. What's going on here? Luli and the others were shocked, not knowing the reason. I'm not too sure. Anyway, after lying on the bed for a day yesterday, I found that my strength has increased a lot, and nothing else happened. It's nothing serious, so don't worry about me. Qin Sheng chuckled, indicating to Luli and the others not to worry. Qin Sheng didn't say that it was caused by the game, and concealed something from them. If that's the case, then we can rest assured. Luli and the others nodded, finally letting go of a stone hanging in their hearts. By the way, I have a personal offer today. You all stay at home. I will be back at the latest at night. Qin Sheng explained to Luli and the others. Master Sheng, you've gone out a lot recently. Shan Gui approached Qin Sheng and said with a smile. Is there? Why didn't I feel it? Qin Sheng asked. In fact, he also noticed that he went out a lot more recently. But there is no way, every time he goes out, he is invited. Maybe Mr. Sheng hasn't noticed it yet, but we all agree that Mr. Sheng has transformed from an otaku to a sunny boy. The mountain ghost said with a smile, and Luli and Zhu Lingshan also nodded in agreement. Nod. Question mark, question mark, question mark. All right, I'll go get ready. You guys should level up at home. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he walked into his room and withdrew the information he had posted on the internet. He planned to investigate Luo secretly. Glass situation. With nothing else to do, Qin Sheng entered the online game again to brush a few copies, and he didn't quit the online game world until it was almost the time agreed with Tai Shi. He rushed to the location where the Iron Lion sent him, and found that the Iron Lion was already sitting on the seat, waiting for him. Sorry, I'm late. Qin Sheng smiled apologetically, and then sat down on the opposite side of the Iron Lion seat. It's okay, the appointed time hasn't arrived yet, I'm the one who came early. Iron Lion continued, Boss, why are you so good at the game? I heard later that you have been occupying the list since you appeared in the Dream Online game until now. First, how did you do it? Qin Sheng was speechless. He couldn't say that he had a familiar to help him level up to 0.5, so his level has always been far ahead. It's because of my operational problems. Qin Sheng clenched his hands tightly, pretending to be mysterious and unpredictable. Oh, Iron Lion made an expression of enlightenment, and then asked, but even if you are good at maneuvering and can deal with opponents of the same level, it's too scary for you to level up so fast. Of course, luck is also a part of it. With the combination of luck and operation, it's hard for you not to become a big boss. As for the other things, I can't teach you anything. Qin Sheng said quickly. He was afraid that the Iron Lion would ask more questions, esoteric question. It turns out to be like this. It turns out to be like this. Iron Lion frowned and nodded deeply, as if he had a feeling for Qin Sheng's nonsense. 93%. Chapter 449. Luck. Chapter 449. Luck. Qin Sheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he didn't disturb the Iron Lion's thoughts. Thank you, big brother. But I still want to ask, how did your operation show off? Because I have only played fantasy online games for less than a month, and I only got here by a little bit of luck, but I hope that I can have the same extraordinary combat power as you. Iron Lion is like a tireless seeker, humbly asking Qin Sheng about fantasy online games. Don't ask me, how can I teach you about the operation? I can only say, practice more, spawn more monsters, find more people to solo, and the operation will naturally follow. Qin Sheng said bluntly, cutting off what the Iron Lion wanted to ask next. By the way, you've been playing the Dream Online game for less than a month, yet you're at level 58 like me. Qin Sheng was still curious about this and asked the Iron Lion. You know, I have been immersed in the online game world for several months before I have this level. Although it becomes more difficult to upgrade later, it is still very difficult to come by. I don't know. I don't have the concept of 15 either. Maybe it's because of the luck value in my game. Iron Lion explained, half understood. It's luck again, Qin Sheng muttered, but he felt a little envious of the Iron Lion in his heart. If he also had such heaven-defying luck points, plus the heaven-defying familiar, he would be ashamed even if he met anyone. Don't be afraid. Your luck, do you have it as soon as you enter this game? It's so cool. Qin Sheng asked intentionally or unintentionally. No, I suddenly increased my lucky value by more than 90,000 6 days ago, and before that, I only had a lucky value in the 50s. Iron Lion also looked puzzled, wondering where these lucky points came from. 6 days ago, wasn't that the day when the system was updated? Qin Sheng asked back, but he knew it in his heart. It seems that it was the day when the system was updated that Iron Lion got these luck points. In any case, obtaining these luck points is also due to the luck of the Iron Lion. Without a little bit of luck, the Iron Lion will not get these extra lucky points, and he has no right to deprive them. Ouch. Iron Lion, who are you sitting with? Is it your friend? I didn't expect a person with your personality to have friends. A man with a flirtatious expression and flowing hair looked at Iron Lion and said, "Don't pay attention to him. This guy is my deadly enemy. He always fights against me in school. This time he came here on purpose, probably just to target me." Iron Lion leaned into Qin Sheng's ear and whispered, "Xiao Kang, what on earth do you want to do? Don't you want me to feel at ease when I have a meal with my friends?" Iron Lion looked at Xiao Kang in front of him and said indifferently, "I just won't let you eat well today, so what can you do?" Xiao Kang said, and several people at the table next to him immediately stood up, stood behind him, and stared at the Iron Lion. All of a sudden, the smoke spread. A waiter wanted to hold back two groups of people, but was pushed away by Xiao Kang's people. Helpless, some waiters left the scene, presumably to find their old class. Qin Sheng chuckled, looking at the sultry people in front of him. He couldn't help but think of Brother Who back then, wondering if Brother Who was here, and the few punks in front of him immediately scared the shit out of him and left. Although I refused to be their boss that day, I still left them a call, thinking that there was no contact with each other in recent days, so I faded away. Boy, why are you laughing? Xiao Kang turned his gaze around and asked Qin Sheng. Indeed, when the two sides were confronting each other, Qin Sheng's chuckle was absolutely abrupt, and immediately attracted the attention of everyone around him. What am I laughing at, and what does it have to do with you? Qin Sheng also looked at Xiao Kang, and replied lightly. Hee, you're quite crazy, boy, it seems that you don't want to live anymore. Fantasy online game solo coming. I'm going to torture you into a dog, the kind that calls you father and mother. Xiao Kang rubbed his fists, with a look of can't wait. Qin was shocked, thinking that Xiao Kang would fight them, but it turned out that he fought in the game, but does he have this fate? He actually came to challenge himself. As if seeing Qin Sheng's confusion, Tai Shi whispered, Xiao Kang was originally my classmate, and we didn't have any contact with him on weekdays. There was a big fight for a boss, of course, our gang took it down in the end. Quote, I thought the matter would end like this, but I didn't expect that by chance, he knew my game ID and that I belonged to that gang, and he has been at odds with me since then. After listening to Iron Lion's explanation, Qin Sheng was very speechless, thinking that the two had such a big conflict. It seemed that they turned their faces for a boss. How unreasonable and incomprehensible it was. Hey, although I was not his opponent at that time, but after I had 100,000 lucky points, my combat power and level have risen sharply, and he is far from my opponent. Now to challenge you, it is no different from sending you to death. Quote. Tai Shi looked at Xiao Kang with a self-seeking expression on his face, which made him feel uncomfortable. What's the matter? Are you afraid to fight? It seems that the Iron Lion Spicy Chicken and his friends are also Spicy Chicken. Spicy Chicken and Spicy Chicken are a perfect combination. Ha ha ha. Xiao Kang saw that Qin Sheng didn't reply to 413 for a long time, thought he was scared. Why don't you dare? So many people are watching, afraid that you will lose face if you lose, that would be bad. Qin Sheng said casually, swaying the red wine in his hand. Bastard, you underestimated me. Well, today I will let you know how to write dead characters. Xiao Kang heard Qin Sheng's casual words, but his face turned red and his veins burst out of anger. You're still too young. Qin Sheng is like an elder, treating younger generations as casually. Go to the special video game hall now, I can't wait to beat you up. Xiao Kang creaked his fists, but he didn't know that the nightmare was waiting for him ahead. No need, 2 guests, our hotel has a special game hall, you can go in solo. A voice came from far to near, and then the crowd was pushed away, and an old man with a golden border walked in. Boss Zhang, these 2 waves of people are here to provoke trouble. The waiter's present pointed to Qin Sheng and others and said. Boss Zhang rolled his eyes. He is not blind, so he naturally knows, why should they remind? But he still said to these employees, You don't need to worry about the next thing, go back to your respective positions. Yes. The waiters returned to their original positions as if they were amnesty. 94%. Chapter 450. The guy who hides his head and shows his tail. Chapter 450. The guy who hides his head and shows his tail. Both of you are the ones who want to PK. Please follow me. Our hotel has a dedicated esports hall, which can provide a venue for the two of you. Boss Zhang walked slowly in front and said slowly. Would it be so good? Qin Sheng was puzzled. They made trouble in the hotel. Not only did they not find the security guards to throw them out, but instead treated them warmly, which made Qin Sheng feel embarrassed. However, let me tell you something first. If your strength does not meet my approval, not only will you have to compensate for the loss of our hotel, but I will also ask the security guard to tell you to throw you out. Boss Yang's voice suddenly became clear, coming from the momentum of the superior pour out. I said, so that's the case, but what is this Boss Zhang doing in front of me making this rule? Qin Sheng didn't understand. These two young men and their friends are really lucky. When they caused trouble in the hotel, Boss Zhang provided them with a PK place instead. I saw that you are a new customer, right? Everyone in the neighborhood knows that Boss Zhang is very fond of fantasy online games. Anyone whose strength can be recognized by him can also enjoy the hotel's activities, and even pay for free. So good. Someone envied. That's right. However, Boss Zhang himself is very strong, and he has even stepped into the top rankings, and there are very few people who can get his approval. Hey, I don't expect such a good thing. The people behind were talking a lot, and Qin Sheng understood what they said. It turns out that Boss Zhang in front of him is also an avid fan of the fantasy online game, so he made such a rule. Here we are. Boss Zhang walked ahead and brought Qin Sheng and Xiao Kang to the special esports hall, which contained the equipment they needed. A few of Xiao Kang's cronies and Iron Lions were allowed to come in. As for the other onlookers, they could only stare dryly outside and watch what happened inside. As soon as Qin Sheng entered the game, he hid his ID name. After all, he didn't want to expose his identity in such a public place and cause unnecessary trouble. The two met in the PK field, standing on both sides, looking at each other from a distance. The guy who hides his head and shows his tail, dare not even reveal his ID name, is he afraid that I will target you in the future? You are as cowardly as a mouse, even if you beg me for mercy now, it is too late. Xiao Kang saw that Qin Sheng was hiding his ID, and thought he was afraid of him, so he became rampant. Oh, really? It's not sure who is begging whom for mercy. Qin Sheng just smiled lightly after hearing what Xiao Kang said, without any annoyance. The verbal skill is quite powerful, and it's very fancy. Xiao Kang didn't take it seriously. At the same time, some basic information about Xiao Kang appeared on Qin Sheng's cornea. A laugh from the sea. Level 58. Attributes. Double swords, double sword style, one sword is heavier than the other. Skills. Phoenix flying, fighting without blood. HP 8300 8300s. MP 3500 3500s. Take it. Xiao Kang approached Qin Sheng with two knives in hand. This scene can't help but remind him of Sauron, but Soren's three-sword style is much stronger than the two-sword style of A Laugh from the Sea. It can be seen from the strength alone. Ding. Qin Sheng didn't even come out of the protective cover, and directly relied on his own body and dragon scale armor to take over the flat of Kang Hai laughs, and there were bursts of humming in the sky. Qin Sheng didn't take a step back. Seeing Xiao Kang inflict more than 30 damage to himself, he said disdainfully, is this what you call strength? If I attack you standing up, I'll lose more than 10 blood gauges. And my blood tank is more than 10,000. I just stand here and give you a call, and you will call it until the afternoon. It's ridiculous. His cold voice lingered in the mountains and exploded in the ears of Kang Hai laughs. How is it possible? Even if it is level A, it is reasonable to say that at least hundreds of injuries are normal, but he only has more than 30 injuries. How can he accept this? What made him collapse even more was that Qin Sheng actually told him that there are more than 10,000 blood gauges. Even if it is a meat shield, it doesn't have so much blood, right? HMPH. You're just messing around. Xiao Kang snorted coldly, and Quandang Qin Sheng intentionally frightened him. But at the same time, he also understood that he did have the strength to put it there. In this case, then I will display my skills. Just do what you say. Xiao Kang puts the two knives behind his back, leans forward slightly, and looks like a tiger ready to go. Suddenly, Xiao Kang's figure turned into a flash of lightning, approaching Qin Sheng. Except the move. Soldiers without blood. There was no explosion of power as imagined, but there was just an understatement of the sword, as light and light as a flat sword. But in Qin Sheng's eyes, it was completely different. This sword contains Xiao Kang's endless sword power, which can be felt but not seen. It's very apt to its name. The weapon has no blood, it must be seriously injured because of this blow, and it won't leave any blood. This is the essence of this trick. Such a sharp pair of knives slashed down, causing huge damage, but leaving no trace of blood. It can be said that it is a pure technique. Of course, this was for the people present, but it did not pose any threat to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng slowly raised the blade of God, and was about to meet Xiao Kang's soldiers without blood. Shabby. He doesn't know that I, soldiers without blood, kill people invisible, dare to greet me like this. Seeing this scene, Xiao Kang raised his mouth slightly, as if he saw the goddess of victory waving to him. But the next scene is something he will never forget. With a casual blow, Qin Sheng casually split him, soldiers without blood blades, but it wasn't over yet. With supreme power, he split the double swords in his hands in half. It fell into the nearby mountains and rivers, splitting the mountains in half and splitting the water into a river. Xiao Kang Qian Wangchao looked at the scene in disbelief, his body trembling slightly. What kind of monster did he provoke? Oh my god, what did I see? That young man split Xiao Kang's sword without blood. What's even more frightening is that Xiao Kang's two double swords were directly cut into two halves. It's also level 58, why is there such a huge difference? You ask me, who should I ask? This boss is too awesome, do you know who he is? Who knows, no matter what, this person must be a hero in the fantasy online game world, and Xiao Kang dared to challenge this kind of person. Although Xiao Kang has skills, anyone with a discerning eye can tell that although he is powerful, the young man in front of him is even stronger. This is not a level of PK at all, but a difference of one dimension. Make up. 94%. Chapter 451 Let me send you the final blow. Chapter 451 Let me send you the final blow. Ah, my dual swords. Xiao Kang finally recovered from his shock at this moment, and let out a cry of pain. It was a legendary weapon that he acquired at a huge price and painstakingly, but unexpectedly, Qin Sheng was cut off with a knife. Although he was extremely annoyed in his heart, he was powerless. After all, where Qin Sheng's strength lay, he was powerless at all. Who are you? After a long time, Xiao Kang, who reluctantly accepted the facts, asked. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is that you have already lost this game, let me give you the final blow. After finishing speaking, Qin Sheng raised the blade of God, and slashed at Xiao Kang as before, but Xiao Kang felt a deep sense of powerlessness. It was sent out as a streamer. Who the hell are you? Xiao Kang took off the instrument and stared at Qin Sheng. From his point of view now, Qin Sheng didn't hide his ID because he was afraid of himself, and it must have his purpose. This person in front of him is definitely not an unknown person in the dream world, but he is reckless. The PK between you and me is over. There is no need to pursue so many things. Please leave now. You have already interrupted the dinner between O and Tai Shi. Qin Sheng did not reply Xiao Kang's words 923, but indifferently with a laugh, he said indifferently. Okay, Xiao Kang, didn't lose today. I hope I can fight against an expert like you next time. After Xiao Kang finished speaking, he took his brothers and left the place. I'm Cao. This young man is really awesome. I feel ashamed of myself when I think that I haven't reached the 5th level yet. What's yours? Since the fantasy online game came out, I've been playing until now, but the result is still stuck at level 57. I don't know how those big guys got to level 58. I'm jealous. That Xiao Kang at least has the strength of a ground pound, but that young man killed him instantly. Doesn't it mean that he at least has the strength of the Tianbang, and he is not even an unknown person on the Tianbang? I didn't expect to see such a great god today. What are the people in front of you talking about? The people watching the excitement at the back stood too far away and couldn't see clearly, so they asked the people standing in front. We say, okay, everyone, since the game is over, please go back to your table. Boss Zhang BFFC looked at the crowded door and said helplessly. The melon-eating crowd smiled awkwardly. They were eating at first, but there was such a good show, they couldn't help but follow. In fact, they also found an interesting matchup that was well worth the trip. Now that the PK is over, there is no good show waiting for them, so they left, and the entrance of the esports hall became much quieter. Little brother, you are so good at playing dream online games, and you are not an unknown person, why do you deliberately hide your ID? Boss Zhang walked up to Qin Sheng and Tai Shi, and asked suspiciously. Boss Zhang, as I said, the PK competition is over, so don't talk about the game anymore. Qin Sheng smiled lightly, without further explanation. It's the old man who is stupid. Seeing your strength really makes the old man ashamed. From now on, we will let you come to our hotel, and everything will be free. Boss Zhang patted Qin Sheng on the shoulder and said boldly. It's better to obey than to respect. Qin Sheng's kindness is hard to stop. Immediately, Qin Sheng and Iron Lion made an appointment, formed a team together after a few days, and then separated. At this time, Boss Zhang pushed open the secret compartment of his study and stepped into another unknown room. Master Bone Master, I think you already know everything that happened today. Boss Zhang walked up to a person, and bowed to the person in front of him like a courtier. Well, I already know, Zhang Shan, how do you think his strength compares to yours? The Bone Master in front of him raised his head slightly, and let out a vicissitudes of life sound from his throat. Master Bone Master, Xiao Kang estimates the strength of a ground pounder. As for the strength of Qin Sheng, I haven't figured it out yet. After all, the strength on the Tianbang, every noun, is as far away as a mountain and sea. So, it's normal for Qin Sheng to lose Xiao Kang in one blow. What is certain is that even if his strength is in the top half of the list, he can still squeeze into the top half. As for whether his strength is stronger than mine, then I don't know. Got it. Boss Zhang thought about it for more than 10 seconds before replying. Do you think his strength can be used for him? The Bone Master tapped the chair with his bony fingers, making a creaking sound. After a while, he asked. No, when I asked him the name of his ID before, he avoided it very cleverly. It can be seen that he is a smart person. And his ID is also a point that he is taboo, otherwise he would not deliberately get stuck. Don't reveal your name. Hearing what the Bone Master said, Boss Zhang shook his head hastily. Find an opportunity to capture Qin Sheng and let him join us. If it doesn't work, kill him. I'll cover what happens, Master Bone Master said without hesitation. Yes, Master Bone Master. Unifying the opinions, Boss Zhang turned and left the place. In order to complete my unification of the dream online game world, it is normal to die some people who block my way, right? Master Bone Master sat on the lonely king's chair and sighed heavily. Qin Sheng never expected that there was someone behind Boss Zhang, let alone the so-called Master Bone Master, who actually wanted to unify the fantasy online game world and monopolize all sources of funds. But all of this was a funeral. At this time, he had already arrived at home, and Luli and the others were still leveling up. They had nothing to do. Qin Sheng logged into the trumpet again, without the slightest surprise, still unable to level up. So, he boarded the tuba. Qin Sheng recalled the two ceremonies, the God of War, Gilgamesh. All the familiars, and took all the unused items, legendary weapons, king's soldiers, potions. As for the weapons that are lower than the legendary weapons have been thrown away by Qin Sheng, all concentrated on himself. After collecting all these unnecessary items, Qin Sheng made a video call to Lu Mengxin. Lu Mengxin, I'm ready to auction items at any time. Lu Mengxin quickly got through the phone, and Qin Sheng also explained his intentions to her. You think you want to auction it? Lu Mengxin rolled her eyes, and said speechlessly, if you want to auction something, at least you need a warm-up time. There is an auction suddenly held, and there is no reputation, who will come to auction the item. 94%. Chapter 452. Going to Japan. Chapter 452. Going to Dongying country. I didn't expect to hold an auction, and there are quite a lot of procedures to go through, so what do you think should be done next? Qin Sheng has never held an auction before, so when encountering such a thing, the first person he thought of was Lu Mengxin. What else? Lu Mengxin rolled her eyes, and continued, send me your location, and I'll rush there now. This time Qin Sheng did not refuse Lu Mengxin's words and went to her side alone. To be honest, his backpack can't hold it at all, the sum of the equipment on him and the familiar, it's better to wait for Lu Mengxin and others to rush over. It didn't take long for Lu Mengxin to come together with her members of Zuimengju. There are so many legendary weapons, and the soldiers of the king. Lu Mengxin stared at the weapons scattered all over the floor, her eyes widened. These are me and the familiar, all the useless items on my body, you can just take them to the auction. Qin Sheng replied. Lu Mengxin smiled bitterly, no wonder these legendary weapons and king's soldiers were scattered on the ground like a pile of rubbish. It turned out that Qin Sheng and the others didn't need these weapons at all, so naturally they didn't regard these weapons as treasures. It's ridiculous. Throwing any weapon here can cause a sensation, and many players regard it as a treasure. To Qin Sheng and the others, it is no different from a pile of garbage. Okay, I'll let the people of Zuimengju bring these weapons scattered on the ground back to Zuimengju. Then I started to announce to the world that the Zuimengju gang and the Xiao gang joined forces to organize an auction and invite players from all over the world are gathered. What do you think? Lu Mengxin asked for Qin Sheng's opinion. About these, you can do it alone. When the time comes, leave me a place and let me control the scene. Qin Sheng said indifferently. Well, the point is, I can't auction off so many weapons at once. After all, for other players, they are treasures. There are so many of these weapons at once. There will be flooding, and even we will be targeted by people all over the world. Lu Mengxin is a person who understands the general situation and knows how to control the audience. Leave everything to you. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry. In fact, I just need to auction off these useless equipment. Keeping them on my body will take up space. Qin Sheng said truthfully. That's good. I will divide these items into 3 or 5 auctions. I hope I will notify you in advance of each auction. After Lu Mengxin explained this, she turned around and was about to leave. Lu Mengxin, Qin Sheng shouted. Lu Mengxin stopped and looked back. Are you angry with me? Why did you say that? Lu Mengxin chuckled lightly, neither denying nor admitting it. Because there's something wrong with your tone today. Qin Sheng said truthfully. Lu Mengxin used to call him Brother Cheng, but today he kept calling you. Of course he found out. Although Qin Sheng knew about Lu Mengxin and was still angry about what happened last time, Qin Sheng didn't know the specific reason for Lu Mengxin's anger. He. It seems that Brother Sheng is not stupid. Lu Mengxin said, and said to the people around him, you take the people from Zuimengju back first, and I will go back later. Yes. Immediately, the people from Zuimengju left this place. Brother Sheng, I heard that Luo Li has found a new home. Or something else happened? Lu Mengxin asked. It seemed that she was quite familiar with what happened on Qin Sheng's side. It should be true to find a new home, but it should also be true that something else happened. Qin Sheng just gave a vague answer to Lu Mengxin's question. How do you say this? Lu Mengxin didn't quite understand. I can't tell now, but I'm already investigating, and I believe it won't be long before everything will come to light. Qin Sheng sighed, at a loss for what to say. That's fine. If I have time, I'll go to Brother Sheng's place to have a look, so I'll go first. Qin Sheng nodded, and Lu Mengxin left the place under Qin Sheng's gaze. In the next few days, Qin Sheng was just brushing the wild. In less than 3 days, Qin Sheng had already reached 82% of the 59th level. And the people behind are also chasing after them, and the players with 73% progress at level 59 occupy more than half of the top rankings. That's right, the later the level, the harder it is to upgrade, and the less the difference. Even with the same level and the same progress, there are still differences in the experience points they need. And these differences affect their ranking on the ranking list. 0. And within these 3 days, the time for the auction organized by Lu Mengxin is coming. The name of the first guild, Xiao, and the first business guild, Zuimengju, instantly attracted countless players. During this period of time, there were suddenly a lot of people in the city. The streets that used to be sparsely populated are now overcrowded, and you have to walk sideways when crossing the road. One can imagine how many people there are. Moreover, this is just a warm-up state. As for the real start time of the auction, it will take 2 days to wait. Even the warm-up time has already accumulated so many people. I'm bored with the days of constantly brushing wild monsters. How about I teach those Dongying people a lesson? For some reason, Qin Kong is an inexplicable fan of Dongying people. As promised, Qin Sheng immediately transferred to Dongying district. Most people dare not go to other countries alone. Even if you go to another country, you still have to report to the group. After all, there are many people in strength. But if you are alone, you will only be targeted by other countries, or even taught and beaten, because here, you will not be punished by law. After all, this is not the real world. If they don't like each other, they can fight each other. It is common for someone to die here accidentally. But who is Qin Sheng, and will he be afraid of these things? The answer is obvious. With a flash of light, Qin Sheng appeared in the area of Dongying Kingdom. Are you a foreigner? The Dongying people saw a tall young man stepping in, and immediately knew that Qin Sheng was not Japanese. Even though they have the same skin color and black pupils, there are some things that cannot be hidden from the sharp eyes of the crowd. Yes. Qin Sheng nodded slightly, admitting that he was a foreigner. Just as he recognized his identity, the eyes of everyone looking at him instantly became indifferent, contemptuous, and piercing. Qin Sheng didn't mind these things. When he came to Dongpu, he didn't expect these people to treat him well. On the contrary, he had already expected the scene before him, but he didn't expect that he would be targeted so quickly. 94%. Chapter 453 You are not welcome here. Chapter 453 You are not welcome here. Foreigners, you are not welcome here. Someone in the crowd said coldly. What I have to say is that Fantasy World Online game is really good at one thing. That is, no matter what country I go to, it will translate the language of that country into Chinese, and what I say will also be translated into the language of their country to communicate with each other. Qin Sheng directly ignored these people and went to other places. The Dongying people were probably concerned about the image of the country, so they didn't fight on the spot. There seems to be no difference between the Dongpu region and the Huasha region. The only difference is that on the Dongpu side, players wearing kimonos and samurai uniforms can be seen everywhere. Oh, I'm going. There are people cosplaying. Qin Sheng looked at the Naruto passing by, a little dumbfounded. What kind of thinking does the player 500 have in order to pack himself into a two-dimensional character? Boy, you are so arrogant. How dare you come to our Dongying area alone, ha ha. You are not so courageous. Qin Sheng knew that someone was following him, so he deliberately went to the wilderness to lure the snake out of the hole. Just as Qin Sheng somehow hated the Dongying people also hated the Huasha people very much. The so-called enemies were extremely jealous when they met, and the two sides immediately confronted each other. Which onion are you? Can you represent the Dongying country? You little scum. Don't force yourself in front of me, I will beat your teeth and you won't be able to find it. Qin Sheng looked at the Dongying people in front of him, and said nonchalantly. It seems that you, a Chinese, are not so arrogant. It's okay, our brothers, it's been a long time since we have taught a player as ignorant as you. I will make you regret setting foot in the East Ocean area. Several Dongying people stretched their muscles and approached Qin Sheng with grinning faces, as if they regarded him as something in their pocket. Shabi. Qin Sheng raised the blade of God and swiped it casually, and the Dongpu people in front of him turned into a white light and disappeared on the spot. A few rookies at the 56th level dare to provoke themselves. They really don't know how to write the word, death. There's no need to hide. The Dongying people hiding in the dark are all coming out. I'm in a hurry. Qin Sheng shouted into the depths of the jungle, as if there were Dongying people inside as he said. Inside the jungle, there was no response. Suddenly, there was a whirling sound of leaves, and then a gust of wind came from behind Qin Sheng's head, aiming at his forehead. Under the influence of all-knowing and almighty star, Qin Sheng didn't even turn his head, and just turned his head to avoid it. And the Dongying people are also very smart. They didn't succeed in one blow, and they didn't love to fight. With a quick ejection, they disappeared into the jungle again. Hee. Are all Dongying people so timid as mice? They don't even have the courage to come out to fight. I used to think highly of you Dongying people, but now it's just like this. Looking at the empty jungle, Qin Sheng laughed, raging. Huasha people, this is our Japan's ninjutsu, we are Japan's ninjas. Your strength has been recognized by us, and then enjoy the death party. An ethereal voice came from the depths of the jungle, making it hard to catch. Here, for other players, it is indeed confusing, but under the attention of Qin Sheng, omniscient and almighty star, there is nothing to hide. Dongpu's ninjutsu, meeting his omniscient and almighty star, is like meeting a nemesis, and Qin Sheng has seen all the bells and whistles. As the voices of the Dongying people fell, Qin Sheng's surroundings were covered by rustling sounds, as if he was besieged on all sides. 3 people on the right, 5 people on the left, 3 people in front, and 3 people in the back, a total of 14 people. Such a tacit understanding, it seems that they are members of a gang, and this gang is likely to master ninjutsu. They killed there are probably not a few Chinese people, and I will get rid of them today. Qin Sheng, all-knowing and almighty star, glanced around, and the number and location of the Dongpu people were all exposed in his eyes. At the same time, their bodies are presented one by one in the form of heat energy. Their ghostly movements and elegant steps are useless in front of him. A razor-sharp ray of light suddenly shot out from behind Qin Sheng. Without warning or hesitation, all the Dongpu people saw only the sword in his hand at this moment. Successful. Seeing that the blade was only 1 centimeter away from Qin Sheng's head, the Dongying man raised a triumphant smile. Just at the very moment, he suddenly turned his head, and lightly pinched the sword of Dongying Rendu between his fingers, and at the same time, a smile hung on his face. How is this possible? The Dongpu man cried out in disbelief as he looked at the sword edge that Qin Sheng was holding between his fingers. Looking at Qin Sheng's smile, I was terrified like seeing a ghost. How is it impossible? Qin Sheng slowly exerted force with his fingers, and the sharp blade used by the Dongpu people was broken in half by him. Immediately, the blade of God greeted him on the head, and he also went with the previous few people. Seeing this scene, the ninja hiding in the jungle began to shake in his heart. As a ninja, the most important thing is to keep calm and not be led by the nose by the Washa people. The little leader of the ninja team snarled as if sensing their inner turmoil. Although they withdrew their shaken hearts, they also knew that the Chinese people in front of them were not so easy to deal with. Keep unnecessary worries and prepare to use the joint technique. The ninja's little boss explained. Boss, there is only one person, are we sure we want to use the technique of pressing the bottom of the box? Someone was puzzled. You still can't see it now. This kid is weird, and he escaped our ambushes twice. It seems that there must be something weird about him. I'm afraid it won't work against him with ordinary moves. We can only use combined 1.9 skills. You have to remember that as a qualified ninja, you must do what you can, be decisive and firm in your heart, and don't underestimate anyone so that you can have the last laugh. The little ninja boss talked eloquently. If you have any other moves, just use them, otherwise you won't have a chance to use them, and that would be boring. After killing a ninja casually, Qin Sheng felt bored. Indeed, the ninjutsu that catches foreigners by surprise has nothing to hide in front of him, and it lacks a little fun. Rampant. A stern shout came from the jungle, and then more than a dozen strong winds galloped towards Qin Sheng. In an instant, there were more than a dozen figures around Qin Sheng, with extremely cold sharp edges. As if he didn't react, at that moment, Qin Sheng suffered 30 to 50 more injuries. 94%. Chapter 454 Why are you here too? Chapter 454 Why are you here too? Haha, this is damned. I told you to act aggressively. The price of acting aggressively is your life. As expected, pretending to be aggressive is easy to be struck by lightning. The little ninja leader saw Qin Sheng and received 30 or 50 attacks in an instant. I thought it was because he didn't react. And these 30 or 50 attacks, no matter how thick the blood tank is, will go to hell. Therefore, the little ninja leader uttered wild words. Oh, really? After a round of attacks, Qin Sheng's dragon scale armor only had dozens of white marks, and even the protective gear was not pierced. Only a few injuries were a little more serious, and they only caused a few hundred injuries to him, which is not worth mentioning. It's not easy for a group of level 58 players and a level 59 player to cause such damage to me. Qin Sheng nodded slightly, as affirmation to them. Of course, this is on the premise that he did not evade the attacks of Japanese ninjas, otherwise, these people would not even be able to touch the corners of their clothes. The reason why he wanted to take their moves was because Qin Sheng was interested in the moves of Dongying Kingdom, especially the ninja warrior genre. What? More than a dozen combined skills only caused a few hundred damages, which is very powerful. The 13 Japanese ninjas looked at each other, at a loss for words. They had already forgotten to hide their figures. I'm tired of playing too. Next, I'll give you a good time. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he waved his hand casually, and a terrifying sword glow shot towards the Japanese ninjas. A sense of powerlessness arises. Boom. In the next second, their fate was completely the same as that of the people in front. Boss, why are you here too? The first Japanese ninja who died saw all the members of their team come to accompany him before he could take a step out of the resurrection site. Ma Dan, that kid is simply terrifyingly strong. We can't provoke him at all. He resisted our combined technique with his body and wiped out our group with one move. It's really bad luck. If I had known it earlier, I wouldn't have provoked such a big guy. It's gone, the little leader of the Japanese ninja said with a look of displeasure. My Sao, it's so awesome, boss. The first Japanese ninja to die couldn't help but admire. He thought that Qin Sheng only had the knack to deal with them, but it turned out that he was also very strong, so it seemed that he was not at a loss. As soon as the first Japanese ninja who died said this, a group of people looked at him, not knowing what to think. He immediately knew that he had said the wrong thing. How could he praise the Chinese people for being powerful? What about Dongying's face? He smiled sheepishly and didn't explain, because the more he explained at this time, the more chaotic he would be, so he didn't say anything at all. Even the assassination organization failed. It seems that this Chinese man is not easy. That's right, without the strength, how could he come to the East Ocean region alone? Unless a few ignorant youths were taught a lesson and then returned to their own country and region. The point is that it's too powerful. Can you kill more than a dozen people with one blow? Quote. A group of people looked at each other and shook their heads. I thought that the Washa man would be taught a lesson by the high-end players in our country and deliberately humiliate him again. It seems that my thoughts have been shattered. Wait, take a closer look. Everyone in the assassination organization seems to have dropped 2 levels. Dongpu ninjas are not deaf, so they can naturally hear the crowd's discussion. After hearing these words, their faces instantly become ugly, but what can they do? Who told them that their skills are not as good as others? When it was time to mention their level, they sensed their own level and found that each of them had dropped 2 levels. Oh my god, why did I drop 2 levels? I dropped 2 levels again, how long will it take to brush it back? Boss, I also dropped 2 levels, what's going on? I'm Sao, you ask me, whoever I ask, I also dropped 2 ranks. Anyway, from now on, people from our assassination organization must not provoke this young man from Washa. I have a feeling that if we provoke him, we will assassinate him. Organizations may cease to exist. Bat, you are really a disgrace to the Dongpu region. You sent a team there, but a person from the Washa region solved it with 1 blow. I feel ashamed for you. Just as the assassination organization was about to leave this place, a middle-aged man in a samurai robe with a dagger in his hand came to the side of the assassination organization with steady and vigorous steps. And the bat in his mouth is naturally the little headshot of the assassination organization. Budo Kojira. He is a big guy who ranks in the top 100 of the Tianbang. What is he doing here? Who knows, maybe it was done on purpose to make fun of the bat. Is anyone else as boring as you? In my opinion, Budo Kojira also aimed at that Chinese person. I think so. After all, sharing the same hatred with the enemy and unifying the outside world is the foundation of our Donggying country. The bat has an ugly look on his face. If someone dares to say that about himself in person, he will kill him in the next second. However, Budo Kojira ranks several levels higher than him. In this world where martial arts is the most powerful, strength is everything. So even though he was very angry, he just dared not speak out. Okay, I don't want to say anything more. Tell me where you met the Washa people. I think you may be doing 280 now. I will avenge your shame and make up for the shame of Donggying Kingdom. Budao Kojira condescending looking at the bat, he asked lightly. Look, I said that Budo Kojira was consistent with the outside world, right? But you didn't say that before. You said that Budo Kojira deliberately came to humiliate bats. Is there? Why can't I remember? With Budao Kojira making a move, no matter how powerful the Chinese people are, it is impossible to defeat Budao Kojira. 17. After Bat told him the location, Budo Kojira left under the eyes of everyone expecting, but Bat made a creak sound with his fists. Budo Kojira, you wait. Sooner or later, I will step you under my feet to wash away today's humiliation. Bat looked at the direction Budo Kojira was leaving, and muttered to himself. Immediately, he took his team members and left this sad place. And Qin Sheng, who dealt with the assassination organization, didn't stop, and continued to move forward. Those Donggying people who didn't like him were all dealt with by him, and they still lost 2 levels. Even if he stays in the fantasy online game world all day long, it is impossible to recover his original strength within a few days. 95%. Chapter 455. Do you say I will let you live? Chapter 455. Do you say I will let you live? You said you people, I didn't provoke me at all, why do you all insist on provoking me? Isn't it good to live well? Qin Sheng sat on a stone, with a dog's tail grass hanging from his mouth, with a serious face puzzled. Yes. My God, we know we are wrong, can we go now? Several Donggying people looked at Qin Sheng with admiration. They originally wanted to deal with Qin Sheng, but they didn't expect their attacks to land on him, but they didn't even cause any damage. They knew that they had provoked someone they shouldn't have provoked. They acted decisively, and immediately bowed their heads to Qin Sheng in front of them, in exchange for the chance of life. You want me to die, do you think I will let you live? Qin Sheng's tone changed suddenly. He raised the blade of God, carrying supreme power, and crushed the Dongpu people in front of him into ashes. Because of the differences between countries, these Dongying people seem to be desperate, and come to give away their heads one by one. Why bother? Qin Sheng sighed, as if to feel sorry for these warriors. But having said that, Qin Sheng also came here because he hated the Dongying country from the bottom of his heart, and wanted to teach the Dongying people a lesson. If the Dongying people didn't make trouble for him, Qin Sheng would not be happy. On the contrary, and now he has fulfilled his wish. These Dongying people are too good. I haven't even met anyone on the Tianbang. It's really boring. Qin Sheng shook his head helplessly. This is too unchallenging. Hey, did you know? Mouse and Caterpillar met on the ring, and today they are going to fight to the death. Really, these two people have been fighting for so long, and now they finally have to fight to the death to resolve their grievances. Who says no? The strength of the two players is not much different. This game is worth looking forward to. After speaking, these people swarmed in one direction. Qin Sheng stopped a person casually, and asked calmly, "May I ask what is going on in this arena?" Washa people. The Dongying people who reacted turned to Qin Sheng with a look of disgust and said, "Go away, I don't have the time to delay here, and get out of Dongying district if you are sensible." What did you say? Qin Sheng said while pressing the god blade in his hand towards the Dongpu people. Phew. The Dongpu man was breathing fast, and Qin Sheng's god's blade was infinitely magnified in his pupils, but he couldn't move. It wasn't that Qin Sheng swung too fast, but that he didn't have the courage to move, or in other words, even if he did, it wouldn't help. The god's blade stopped a centimeter away from the Dongying people. It's not that Qin Sheng was merciful. It's because after the system update, the crime value has been strengthened. As long as it is a malicious shot against an NPC, or a one-sided fight without the consent of both parties in the city, points will be deducted by the system, which is the so-called crime value. After reaching a certain level, he will become a character that everyone shouts and beats, which is not what Qin Sheng wants. That's why he kept his hand, but he still scared the Japanese man into a cold sweat. Say, what's going on? Qin Sheng set up the god blade, as if he would kill you if he didn't tell you. Most of the first wave of players who played the Dream Online game have already reached level 50, so they naturally know how difficult it will be to upgrade later. Therefore, the more you get to the back, the more you cherish your own life, and the less you want to lose the rank. After all, the higher level dropped one level, and it is not known when they will be able to catch up. Actually, it's not a big deal, but 10 kilometers ahead, there are two people who want to meet in the arena for a PK. My god, you can take your sword away. Dong Yingsheng choked on his saliva and said hastily. Seeing that you have a good attitude, I will spare your life. Qin Sheng retracted the god blade and walked towards the direction Dongpu people said. Everyone, this Washa person is really shameless. Not only did he threaten me just now, it's fine, he also said that we Dongying people are rubbish. Qin Sheng had just walked a few steps when he heard the previous Dongying person arguing loudly behind him, noisy. And the Dongying people on the street also cast indignant and contemptuous looks at him because of his words. Good guy, I knew I shouldn't be merciful just now. Even if I risked increasing the risk of crime, I would have to finish him with a sword, but it's too late to regret it now. Qin Sheng eyes. A piece of ice cold. What did you say? Qin Sheng turned his head and stared at the Dongying man who was talking about running the train. This. The Dongying man looked at Qin Sheng's cold eyes, and felt a little palpitated for a moment, and then thought, with such an Dongying person looking at him, what could he do to me? So he felt confident. Look, everyone, the Washa people are threatening me with their eyes. I'm afraid they will trouble me afterwards, and everyone will make decisions for me. The Dongying people opened their throats, like a shrew cursing the street. Quote. The Washa people are going too far now. Come to our area, they are so unscrupulous, speechless. At first, I still had some hopes for Washa, but seeing their behavior now, I can only say that I am blind. Is there a boss? Go up and sanction this Chinese man. All of a sudden, there was a lot of discussion among the crowd, and Qin Sheng suddenly fell into the center of public opinion. Hey, Qin Sheng heard these people's words, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then he said lightly, since I stepped into the Dongpu area, I have been crazily killed and rounded up by the Dongpu people. They didn't care about anything, they rushed up and wanted to kill me. Did I say anything? The Hint organization, BAT, some of you should know. He is the first wave of people who want me to die. For survive, I just could wipe out the people who deal with me. Am I doing something wrong? Should I stand still and kill the skin for you Dongpu people? And I just asked that donkeying person a question, but that donkeying person humiliated me in every possible way, so I used some means to ask him a question. I didn't expect that after letting him go, he would speak ill at me. This is your donkeying person. Quality. The bat of the assassination organization is quite famous. It seems that this Chinese man was indeed wronged. Who knows? Maybe he heard the name of the insinuating group, the bat, as soon as he came into our country, and said it at this time. That's right. If it's really what the Washa people said, then we donkeying people have indeed gone too far. You are very Buddhist, but some people in our country especially hate people from other countries, so we don't care about the minority when such open and secret fights happen. 95%. Chapter 456. Do you have any evidence? Chapter 456. Do you have any evidence? But we donkeying people win every time, because no matter how powerful the foreigners are, as the people sent by our donkeying people become more and more powerful, no foreigners have ever tried to please us. Hey, we donkeying people are just like this. If Dongpu can accept people from other countries, and the people from other countries don't come to us Dongpu people to make trouble, that would be great. It is worth mentioning that this Chinese person dared to come to donkeying area alone. Usually, even if people from other countries come to donkeying area, they come in groups, because they are afraid of being targeted. Those who come alone are all confident in their own strength. It seems that he said that he solved the assassination organization, but there is a certain possibility. Everyone's scrutinizing gazes swept up and down on the donkeying man and Qin Sheng. HMPH. Just talking nonsense. You said you killed the assassination organization, the bat. Do you have any evidence? Why are you still here without evidence? Everyone, I'm from donkeying. As a compatriot, you should believe me. What I said before is true. I hope I can get your strength to punish this Chinese kid who doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. Seeing that some people were shaken by Qin Sheng's words, the donkeying man was a little anxious and said hastily. Yes, he doesn't have to lie to us. This Washa man is really cunning. What he said just now was so vivid that he almost deceived us. People's hearts are sinister. Chinese people get out of donkeying area. People from other countries are not welcome here. Quote. It has to be said that the country is a great blood relationship. At least when encountering things, they will choose to share the same hatred. Just like everything that happened in front of him, the donkeying man didn't have any evidence, and he made nonsense, but it was unanimously recognized by the crowd. Evidence. Qin Sheng smiled lightly, and then said slowly, of course there is evidence, and that is my strength. The long sword in Qin Sheng's hand pointed at it, and no one dared to take a breath. What? Didn't you guys clamor just now? Now I want you to see the evidence. Why no one has seen it? Or is it that no one in the huge donkeying kingdom dares to fight? Qin Sheng looked forward and said disdainfully. You ignorant boy, you dare to challenge me in donkeying kingdom. I, Ban Sandao, will be the first to refuse. A steady man with a double axe came out and looked at Qin Sheng with cold eyes. Qin Sheng was not afraid at all. His eyes were fixed on him, and his lips parted slightly. If that's the case, let's fight. Immediately, the two entered the virtual PK field of the system. Oh. It's actually Ban Sandao, the one who ranks 832 on the list, nearly 100 ranks higher than the bats of the assassination organization. No matter how powerful this Washa man is, he still can't win 3 swords. Yeah, it's the brat's arrogance. At this time, Qin Sheng and Man 3 Swords were standing on a piece of green grass, facing each other far away. Man 3 Swords. Level 59. Attribute. Use double axes. You can swing the Z on 3 axes, and after using it, it will fall into a cooldown period, during which time you cannot use other offensive powers. HP. 8,100 8,100. MP. 3,900 3,900. Why did you hide your ID? Man 3 Swords entered the PK field, only to find that Qin Sheng had hidden his ID, and asked suspiciously, frowning. Sorry, I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to tell you. Qin Sheng shook his head slowly. A guy who hides his head and shows his tail. Man Sandao snorted disdainfully, and then continued. I don't have any skills, so I will directly use the strongest 3 axes to comfort you. Enjoy it. After finishing speaking, the twin axes in Ban Sandao's hands continued to emit BFAF, bright light, and the terrifying power was also superimposed. Come on, it's better to bring a little fun to O. Qin Sheng disagreed. Don't be ashamed. Man 3 Swords had finished charging its power, lifted the double axe, lifted it high above his head, and slashed fiercely in the direction of Qin Sheng. A stream of light fell here like a meteor. Ding! The first axe hit Qin Sheng's body. There was only a buzzing sound, and it disappeared briefly like a meteor. Weak. It's simply too weak. This is the strength of Dongyian Kingdom on the top of the list. I'm so disappointed. Qin Sheng glanced at it, only caused slight white marks on his dragon scale armor, and shook his head in disappointment. It was just the first blow just now, and my first blow will be stronger than the first. Get ready. Man Sandow was quite shocked in his heart, but he felt relieved when he thought that there were still 2 axes. The second axe, Man Sandow's double knives exude a scorching light, which makes people unable to open their eyes. Go! As he shouted, Dao's light galloped towards Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng didn't dodge, nor did he raise his sword for the blow. Just like the first time, he blocked the blow with his dragon scale armor. Man Three Swords. Although the power of this strike is much stronger than the first strike, the damage caused is only a little higher than the first strike, and the white marks are a little deeper. How is it possible? Man Sandow widened his eyes, with an expression of disbelief. My second axe can be dealt with by players who are not on the celestial list. Even players who are on the celestial list will be injured to some extent. But the man in front of him, he didn't even wear his armor, so where did he get injured? I still don't believe it. Man Sandow roared. The 2 axes in his hands began to clank, and veins began to appear on his face and arms, as if success or failure depended on it. Take my strongest axe. Man Sandow finished speaking. A purple light emerged from the axe, which exploded in the world like thunder, and then spread towards Qin Sheng continuously. Crack! Finally, the devastating power hit Qin Sheng's body, and a huge crater even appeared under his feet. Phew. If you take my move completely from the front, if you don't die, you will at least have some blood. Man Three Swords gasped violently, looked at the direction where Qin Sheng was standing, and said confidently. Is this all your strength? A slightly frivolous voice exploded in Man Sandow's mind. How come? Qin Sheng didn't look injured at all. Under the blow of Man Three Swords, his dragon scale armor was only slightly torn at a corner of his clothes. Other than that, there were no other injuries. You are a devil, Man Sandow murmured. The strongest player he met was more than 200 on the top of the list, even after receiving his strongest move in the end, suffered a few injuries. 95%. Chapter 457. A Sword of Fanghua. Chapter 457. Yijian Fanghua. But Qin Sheng didn't even take any damage, which means that Qin Sheng's strength is already far stronger than the 200 people in the Tianbang, so where should he be ranked? Man Three Swords, don't dare think about it. The country is a unit of 100,000 players in the local list, and 1,000 players in the sky list. After the top 100, the strength of 10 ranks is a new level. The gap between the top 101 rank is as irreparable as heaven and earth, and every step is like a sting. The general list is the summary of the whole world. Man Three Swords, is there any move you haven't used yet? I'll give you a chance to use it to your heart's content. Don't say I didn't give you a chance later. Qin Sheng walked to Man Sandow, Three Swords, smiled at the side, asked enthusiastically. Man Sandow smiled bitterly. He only has the power of the 3 axes. If the 3 axes can't deal with the enemy, then he can only rely on level A. In this situation, if he uses level A to deal with Qin Sheng, it's just taking his own life disgrace. Although I, Man Sandow, lost to you, it doesn't mean that the Dongyian Kingdom has no one who can deal with you. You just wait for our country to send masters to deal with you. Man San had no choice but to speak out intimidation. Qin Sheng. Oh, if I was afraid of them, why would I come here alone? On the contrary, I expect them to come to my door, and save me looking for them one by one, which would be a waste of time. Qin Sheng said, and was about to raise his hand. Lift up the blade of God, and send Man Sandow out of the PK field with one blow. Wait, seeing the blade of God that was about to reach his forehead, Miss Sandow hurriedly stopped it. What, you won't be at this point, still feel sorry for the rank, and expect me to spare you, right? Qin Sheng put away the god's blade and looked at Man Sandow with interest. Of course not. Man Sandow raised his head suddenly, and said with a smile, I thank you for giving me a little time to set up this protective cover. The world thinks that I only have the strongest 3 axes, but they don't know that I have more what's great as defense. Speaking of which, I'm still a meat shield, and attacking is not my specialty, so I can only get the strongest 3 axes, and the rest is only level A. It takes too long to prop up Xion's protective shield. I have always either killed my opponent in seconds, or the opponent beat me. No one has ever given me the time to prop up the protective shield like you. Ha ha ha, you are really a sabi. I am Sao. It turns out that Man Sandao is positioned as a shield guard, and I have always regarded him as a warrior. Me too. If he had enough time to use the Xeon shield during the battle, his ranking would definitely not exceed 800, and even the top 500 would be able to sprint. Ban Sandao, it's really a real person who doesn't show his face, and once he shows his face, he's a blockbuster. I'm afraid this young man has nothing to do with him, but his strength is beyond doubt. What he said to kill the assassin's bat is true. Speaking of this, the Dongying people turned their attention to the Dongying people who had made up before. Although some of them do hate people from other countries, the behavior of this Japanese person is really disgusting. It is a disgrace to the country that even the people of the country cast contemptuous eyes on him and ruin the image of the country. Man Sandao, ah. Do you think I can't see your little trick? To be honest, I already knew your purpose and gave you a chance on purpose. I didn't expect that your last trick was just to prop up a protective cover and change coming to a draw. I was so disappointed. By the way, from the start up to now, it seems that it was just your one-sided attack, and I just continued to follow up, right? Now, I will let you take my attack. Of course, as long as you catch a blow, I will just surrender. Qin Sheng drew out the god blade, made a buzzing sound, and said confidently. That's right. Qin Sheng hasn't shot a single blow yet. Thinking of Qin Sheng's strength, Man Three Swords trembled in his heart. He even began to doubt whether his strongest protective shield could resist it. But when he heard Qin Sheng say that he only had one blow, and he didn't take him down after one blow, he conceded defeat. Man Sandao, who had no idea at first, was overjoyed, and immediately tried to block Qin Sheng's day with all his strength. Create the world. Qin Sheng murmured softly. The power of destroying the world emanated from the sword, and then he lightly waved in the direction of Ban Sandao. Crack. With a sound, the Xeon shield of Ban Sandao collapsed the moment it touched Qin Sheng's power. Seeking flowers. 0. But this is far from over. After smashing the Xeon protective cover of Missing Knife, the remaining power hit the double axe set up by Ban Sandao, and the twin axes turned into ashes in an instant. Carrying the momentum of destruction, he then penetrated the protective gear of Man Three Swords, and finally hit the body of Man Three Swords under the eyes of everyone in horror. 12,800. A black damage is fleeting. Breaking through the protective cover, smashing the double axes and the armor did consume a lot of power, and the damage of more than 10,000 is also within the normal range. An attack that usually causes 20,000 to 30,000 damage, but now it only does more than 10,000 damage, which is not unacceptable. After all, a lot of power has been worn out on the way to Ban Sandao. Walking out of the PK arena, Qin Sheng looked down at the Dongying people condescendingly, and said indifferently, "Who else want to fight with me?" There was no sound at the scene. Qin Sheng could even instantly kill anyone on the celestial list. It was impossible for them to go up and take their own humiliation. As for the Dongying man before, when the situation was not right, he left with oil on his feet. What I say is the truth. Anyone who doubts it can come up and try my strength. Qin Sheng left this sentence, and walked away under the admiring gaze of everyone. At this point in the development of the matter, it is already obvious that the booing Dongying person has already slipped away. But Qin Sheng rose up and showed his own strength, allowing the Dongying people to see his courage and strength. Who was that booing person before? What a disgrace to our country. If I remember correctly, that person is called Drama Jing. Sao. It's a shame for our country. This kind of rubbish. I will definitely condolences to him in the future. Wait, where did the Chinese man go before? Looking at this direction, it seems to be the other side of the ring. Could it be? Could it be the ring? Everyone looked at each other and thought of a possibility at the same time. And just as they expected, after Qin Sheng used it for a while, he came to what they called heli. 95%. Chapter 458. Forcibly entering the battle. Chapter 458. Forcibly entering the battle. Ding. Players Rat and Caterpillar are dueling. As soon as Qin Sheng arrived at the ring, he heard the sound coming from the system. He didn't care what happened, stepped on the god's blade, controlled it to pass through the sea of people, and hit the ground of the ring directly. Ding. There are outsiders breaking into the duel. Do you want to drive out the outsiders before the duel? Mouse and Caterpillar did not answer, because they were shocked by the scene before them. During the duel, someone actually broke in, which was unheard of, so it's no wonder they didn't recover for a while. Too rubbish on the list. Do you want me to play with you too? Qin Sheng stood on the hilt of the god's blade, and his frivolous words fell into everyone's ears. Bastard, you are courting death. Do you dare, 070, to underestimate the two of us? After hearing Qin Sheng's words, the two blushed and looked at him angrily. If eyes could kill, Qin Sheng would be hacked to pieces. Wow, the group of melon eaters below booed. It was the first time for them to see such an unexpected thing happen, so it was naturally not a big deal. So what if it is? So what if it's not? Qin Sheng glanced at the two of them indifferently, condescending like a god looking down on a mortal. Okay, very good. Then I, the mouse, will challenge you. I want to see how strong you are. How dare you speak nonsense here? Caterpillar, get out of the way. Wait until I finish him, and then come to you again. Let's compete. After Mouse finished speaking, he stood in front of Caterpillar and was about to compete with Qin Sheng. But the Caterpillar was not happy. He pushed the Mouse behind him, and said, "Old, don't get in the way here, wait for me to kill him, and then deal with you." What? You said I was in the way. I also said you were in the way. Your presence here has already affected my performance. Please stand far away. Mouse disagreed with Caterpillar's statement. Got into a fight with him. Okay, both of you, don't embarrass yourself here, let's go together. I'll save time. Qin Sheng saw that the two funny guys were about to fight, and stopped him immediately. He suspected that if he allowed them to continue to develop, the two of them might start fighting, and he was watching from the sidelines, which was not the result he wanted. Boy, it seems that you are not an ordinary madman. Caterpillar's face became gloomy. After all, it was in public, and someone underestimated him, so he naturally couldn't hold back his face. Since you want a 1v2, then we agree with you. Mouse said calmly. Since Qin Sheng dared to 1v2, he was naturally confident. Even knowing this truth, it is impossible for Mouse to back down. After all, there were so many people at the scene, and Qin Sheng also made a 1v2 request. At this time, if he avoided fighting, he not only lost his own face, but also lost the country's face. This is not only a fight between Qin Sheng and him, but also a battle of face between Huasha and Dongying Kingdom, although they cannot represent the country. But after this incident, it will definitely be a topic for discussion after dinner. Wow, Mouse, Caterpillar, come on. After all, they are people from one country, and the Dongying people naturally stand on the side of the Dongying people. Don't worry, leave this kid to me. Caterpillar and Mouse made an okay gesture. Mouse, I didn't expect the two of us to fight side by side, it's really rare. Caterpillar glanced at Mouse and said strangely. Well, this time, I will let go of the past and go hand in hand. Mouse didn't have any other feelings, but just wanted to face the young man in front of him seriously. Both, let's talk quietly. The duel will start now. I'm too late. Qin Sheng slowly stepped down from the hilt of the god's blade and stood on the solid ground with his palm facing to the right. As soon as he stretched it out, the god's blade returned to his hand. Caterpillar. Level 59. Attribute. Use the sickle to hook back the opponent. Skills. Turn the tide, ecstasy. HP. 8,200 8,200. MP. 3,200 3,200. Mouse. Level 59. Attribute. Attack the opponent with extremely fast means, so that the opponent cannot react. Skills. Lightning Flint, High-Speed Slash. HP, 8,800 8,800. MP, 3,050 3,050. Ignorant boy, take my blow. Caterpillar said, then picked up the scythe in his hand, and slashed towards Qin Sheng. Ding! The sickle made a piercing metallic sound when it came into contact with Qin Sheng's dragon scale armor, but it did not cause any substantial damage to Qin Sheng. Caterpillar was terrified, stepped back in a hurry until he stood shoulder to shoulder with Mouse, and said calmly, his armor is very strong, at least my level can't help him, I am afraid that only the use of skills can cause damage to him. As for his strength, he did not make a move, so I am not sure. Caterpillar's first shot was just to test Qin Sheng's strength, but he didn't expect that he didn't make a shot at all, and just relied on the armor to resist his flat A, and immediately frowned. Don't panic, let's consume him first, and we can always find the weakness of his armor. If it doesn't work, let's use the skills to see what damage we can do to him. Song is just consuming mana. The mouse said calmly. You don't need to tell me, I know. After the caterpillar finished speaking, he held his sickle and approached Qin Sheng again. Seeing that Caterpillar took the lead, Mouse naturally did not want to be left behind, and followed behind him, heading towards Qin Sheng, hand in hand. Ding ding ding. A series of 3.3A accumulated on Qin Sheng's body, but he didn't move at all. He was as mature and steady as a sleeping beauty, undisturbed by foreign affairs. Caterpillar's attack power is high, and Rat's attack is dense. Even if it is the master at the bottom of the list, I am afraid that it will be difficult to meet these two. Unfortunately, what they met was Qin Shang, who was doomed to end in tragedy. The tactic is good, but I have to correct it a bit. My dragon scale armor has no weakness, so I can only break him with brute force. But for a person with this strength, I think, no player in the fantasy online game world can beat him. Do it. Qin Shang held the sickle of Caterpillar and the scimitar of Mouse and said with a light smile. This kid, isn't he too crazy? Hearing what Qin Shang said, the two looked at each other, but their hearts were secretly filled with sadness. 95%. Chapter 459. The Japanese panicked. Chapter 459. Dongying people panic. Although Qin Shang's displayed strength is indeed very powerful, but more aspects are reflected in the armor. As long as the strength exceeds his strength, or exceeds the range that dragon scale armor can withstand, dragon scale armor can be crushed. Qin Shang didn't kill them all, but pushed away the weapons of the two, and said casually, I've already given you one chance, and I won't give you another chance. Say it again, just use any moves. Take advantage of the opportunity now. Caterpillar, let's use big moves with each other. Mouse turned his head, and said solemnly to Caterpillar on the right. Good. Caterpillar nodded heavily. Now, they haven't even broken Qin Shang's armor, and they don't know his strength, so they are naturally extremely aggrieved, so they plan to use this blow to break his armor and make him disappear in the ring. Spiriting. Caterpillar let out a low cry, and the sickle 15 in his hand also became transparent and finally disappeared. Rather than disappearing, it is more appropriate to say that it is combined with heaven and earth. It hides from the vision of most players, but under the induction of Qin Shang, omniscient and almighty star, there is nothing to hide. Yangchun 18 swords. At the same time, the scimitar in Mouse's hand was divided into 18 parts, as if there were 17 more scimitars, but in fact, there was only that scimitar. The difference is that it is moved by Mouse at an extremely fast speed, and it looks like 18 swords. Come out, Caterpillar's famous stunt. He relied on this trick at the beginning, so that a player ranked 987 on the top list suffered a dark loss. That's right, it's been a few days, but now it looks like it's still quite elegant. Why is the scythe in the Caterpillar's hand missing? It disappeared. Play magic tricks with us. No, he just uses a unique method to minimize the existence of the sickle, so that the player cannot see where the sickle is located, so as to achieve unexpected results. Before he had time to sigh, someone exclaimed again, oh my god. What is that? There are 17 identical scimitars in the Mouse's hands. What's going on? This is a trick that the Mouse has never used before. It seems that he has recently learned a new trick. Amazing. The previous lightning and flint was ridiculously strong, but the new move will definitely be even more ridiculous. Good. Very good. Seeing this scene, Qin Shang not only did not flinch, but instead raised his head to the sky and screamed, looking slightly interested. Death. Take your life. One is so fast that it disappears without a trace. However, with these fancy moves, Qin Shang only used one sword, a casual sword, but it moved the whole world, and the space temporarily froze. When the melon eaters looked over again, the sickles and scimitars in the hands of Caterpillar and Mouse had been broken, but they were all standing there, as if seeing a ghost. What the hell is going on here? After speaking, two black rays of light suddenly appeared from the two of them, 25,800. 32,000. The two shocking injuries were engraved in everyone's hearts. Immediately, Caterpillar and Mouse were judged as losers by the system, and passed out of the ring. This was seconded. How is it possible? Can you tell me if it is my illusion? No, because I saw the same thing. I can't say that Caterpillar and Mouse are inferior. I can only say that their strength is not in the same dimension when they meet that young man. Hush, Caterpillar and Rat are out, so stop talking. Two big brothers, what happened at that moment, so that you were dealt with by his casual blow? But there were still talkative people who asked the second district regardless of the occasion. No comment. The expressions of the two of them were not very good. What a fool. They came to interview themselves after losing the game. It would be weird to give him a good look. They also wanted to know what happened at that moment, but they couldn't explain why. They just felt that the sky and the earth changed color at that time, and the sword edge of Qin Shang's god's blade approached them slowly. That speed couldn't be any slower, but they just couldn't take a single step to avoid Qin Shang's attack. It was extremely weird. Look, Mouse and Caterpillar seem to have dropped 2 ranks in a row, and I'm afraid it will be difficult for them to make it to the bottom list for the rest of their lives. Shish, they're in a bad mood, you're still chewing on your ears, beware of them making trouble for you. Cut. The 2 of them are now at level 57, and even I can deal with him, don't worry. Caterpillar and Mouse heard the crowd's discussion, and their faces became even uglier. Ma Dan, I don't know what's wrong with this system, it actually made them lose 2 levels in a row. But no matter how regretful, annoyed, and unhappy they were in their hearts, they had no choice but to accept the result and waved their sleeves away. Hey, I said this young man was going to come here and make a scene, and I didn't mean it. After all, he is young and energetic. If he continues to make trouble like this, he will only attract the top players in the country, and he will die in the end. Who cares about them? Anyway, we're here to join in the fun, and if there's excitement, don't watch it, wouldn't it be worth it? During the PK 160 Man 3 Swords in the city before, many people paid attention to that scene, and at this time they also predicted Qin Sheng's next move. One after another rushed to the ring to watch the game. Who are you? Do you know this crazy young man in the ring? I don't know, but let me tell you, this young man just now killed Man Sandow in seconds, you know. A big guy who ranks more than 800 in the sky list. My Sao. More than 800 Man Sansao have been killed in seconds. Doesn't it mean that at least the top 500 players in the sky list can deal with this young man? More than that, in the end Man Sandow's strength broke out. According to his strength, in a sense, it is also possible to be ranked in the top 500. But he was still defeated by this young man in the ring with 3 swords. Doesn't that mean that at least the top 300 or even the top 200 people in the celestial list must be dispatched to deal with this young man? Someone said with a trembling mouth. Looks like the Caterpillar and the Mouse both deserved their losses. Is this the only strength of the Dongpu people? I originally came here with a little fantasy, but now the fantasy is really just asking for the Dongpu people. It really exhausts me. Qin Sheng held the blade of God, as powerful as the son of killing God. 96%. Chapter 460. The Purple-Clothed Saint. Chapter 460. Purple-Clothed Saint. In the huge Dongying country, it turns out that this kind of rubbish is everywhere. It's really disappointing. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he glanced at the crowd below. The people of Dongying country are not only weak in strength, but also very bad. It's really disappointing. Well, I should go back to my country and announce my victory speech. I said that I beat the people of Dongying country and came back without finding an opponent. Gone. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he really wanted to pretend to go back to China. However, if this news is known to people all over the world, what will be the face of the Dongying country? It is impossible for the Dongying people to let themselves go back like this. Wait a minute. At this moment, Qin Sheng suddenly heard a stopping sound, and he looked towards the place where the sound came from. I saw a person wearing a purple Taoist robe slowly walked onto the ring, looked at Qin Sheng, and said lightly, "My name is Purple-Clothed Saint, let me play with you next." Magician. No. In the game, it is a mage. Anyway, the difference is not very big, and the position is exactly the same. Qin Sheng looked at the mage in front of him and muttered to himself. Since you are a sorcerer, then you can fight your mana with yourself. He is a summoner. Logically speaking, it can be considered long range, but he doesn't have any long range offensive magic, what he has is just summoning familiars. After assimilating the abilities of the familiar, Qin Sheng rarely asked the familiar to fight side by side with him. There are 2 reasons. First, it is not necessary. Second, with that time, it's better to let them brush up their levels. Therefore, Qin Sheng's current positioning can be regarded as both long distance and short distance, as a mobile hooker. Wow, it's Purple-Clothed Saint, as far as I know. He ranks 911th on the list. It seems that this young man from Huasha is about to stop here. I didn't expect the bosses on the Tianbang to appear so soon. I thought they would have to wait for a while. Hey. From this point of view, this farce is coming to an end. Who says it's not? But if all the big shots on the top of the list jump out now, that young man can't go on rampant anymore. A group of melon-eating people who didn't know the truth thought that the Dongying people would win. Only a small number of people know that Qin Sheng solved the Man 3 Swords before this, and now he is worthy of more than 900 purple-clothed saints. They originally wanted to call Purple-Clothed Saint, but when they thought that Qin Sheng was about to return to his country to brag, they kept quiet and could only hope for a miracle to happen. Ding. Player Purple-Clothed Saint versus Mysterious Player begins. As soon as Qin Sheng entered the Dongpu area, he directly hid his ID, so the displayed as only a mysterious player. Brothers, place your bets. I bet the sage in purple to win. After all, he is the one on the list. After all, he is much stronger than Rat and Caterpillar. I also bet Purple-Clothed Saint wins, but I don't believe it anymore. A little devil who pops up casually has the strength of the Tianbang. I also bet Sage in Purple Cloth to win, because he is my distant relative, so I naturally know how strong he is. I bet Mysterious Player to win. I always feel that he hasn't even shown his strength yet. He can only be described as unfathomable. Gambling on who wins and who loses is also the fun of this group of players. Many players can even get a lot of oil and water from it, thus embarking on the road to making a fortune. Saint in Purple. Level 59. Attribute. Purple Lightning. Hit the opponent once, causing huge damage and paralyzing the limbs for 0.10 seconds, unable to move. Skills. Lightning and Thunder. 5 Thunder Crashing. HP. 5,200 5,200. MP. 4,300 4,300. On the cornea of Qin Sheng's eyes, the message of Purple-Clothed Saint clearly appeared. Boy, I think you're here to make trouble on purpose. The saint in purple cloth looked at Qin Sheng and asked calmly. How could it be? It's just that I just arrived in the Dongpu area, but they keep targeting me. Is it bullying me? I have no one in China. Of course, I will ask for these things one by one in the ring. Qin Sheng said half-truthfully. Indeed, the Dongpu people targeted themselves, but at the same time, they paid the price in blood. And the purpose of coming to Dongying area is to show the color of Dongying people. Although he didn't take the initiative himself, Qin Sheng could guess it. It can only be said that I wanted to deal with the Dongying people, but I didn't do it, but these Dongying people came to the door by themselves and gave themselves a reason to do it, which is really understanding. Oh, then you can't go too far, can you? Just go to the end. You beat Caterpillar and Mouse, 2 figures on the list. You should stop, and your anger should subside. Quote. Although I don't know whether you will publicize this matter after you go back, but your words have had a great impact on Dongying country, and it has already involved the country's shared weal and woe. Quote. The saint in purple cloth looked at Qin Sheng, and said calmly. Oh, then why don't you say that the problem is with you Dongying people? Is it normal that they are madly targeting people from other countries? Isn't your country ashamed of this? You are still talking about sharing weal and woe in front of me topic. Qin Sheng raised his eyebrows and said in a clear voice. Like the purple-clothed saint, who is modest on the surface, but behind his back is a set of people, which is the type one am most displeased with. It seems that talking too much is useless, so use your fist to make the other party shut up. Purple-clothed saint's indifferent expression tightened, and he said solemnly. I really mean it. So far, Qin Sheng has long wanted to tear off this Zhao Li's purple-clothed saint hypocritical coat, so that he can enjoy himself. Lightning strike. Purple-clothed saint picked up the magic wand, pointed towards Qin Sheng's direction. A small cluster of purple lightning suddenly appeared in the sky, and struck towards him. The purple lightning struck Qin Sheng's body, but did not cause the slightest damage, but purple-clothed saint consumed 2 points of mana. For the purple-clothed saint, there is no difference between the level of a fighter and the lightning strike. It is estimated that the system still consumes 2 points of mana for fun. Purple-clothed saint, what you are talking about is your strength, and it seems that you have not inherited your lip service. Qin Sheng casually patted the location of the lightning attack, smiling purple-clothed saint. Excellent. It seems Rat and Caterpillar are attacking one after another, but they can't hurt you at all. It seems that your armor has some background.